طيب يا سمي.
باب ما جاء في
النهي
عن صلاة بالحاجرة.
بالهاجرة.
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 ايش الفيل؟ طبعا فيل أو بال؟
لا بالهاجرة.
بالهاجرة. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم، فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوه عن الصلاة. وقال اشتكت النار إلى ربها فقالت يا رب أكل بعضي بعضا، فأذن لها بنفسين في كل عام، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال أبو مسعب حدثنا مالك عن عبد الله بن يزيد مولى الأسود بن سفيان عن أبي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن وعن محمد بن عبد الرحمن بن ثوبان عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا كان الحر فأبردوه عن الصلاة، فإذا اشتكت الحر فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. وذكر أن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فأذن لها في كل عام بنفسين، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن أبي زناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا اشتد الحر فأبردوه عن الصلاة فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. باب
ما جاء عن الصلاة بالهاجرة. قال أبو سفيان حدثنا عن زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم، فإذا اشتدت الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. وقال اشتكت النار إلى ربها فقالت يا رب أكل بعضي بعضا، فأذن لها بنفسين في كل عام، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال موسى قال حدثنا مالك عن عبد الله بن يزيد مولى الأسود بن سفيان وعن أبي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن وعن محمد بن عبد الرحمن بن ثوبان عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم إذا كان الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. وذكر إن اشتكت النار فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. وذكر أن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فأذن لها في كل عام بنفسين، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف.
باب ما جاء في نهي عن صلاة الهاجرة بالهاجرة. حدثنا أبو مصعب قال حدثنا مالك عن زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم، فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. وقال اشتكت النار إلى ربها فقالت يا ربي أكل بعضي بعضا، فأذن لها بنفسين في كل عام، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. حدثنا أبو مصعب قال
ما حدثك أبو مصعب ولا حدث أحد منا. قال أبو مصعب ما حدثنا. Abu Mus'ab never told us anything. Right? So we don't want to say حدثنا because that gives the concept as if we heard it from him. So just to be honest, we say قال أبو مصعب.
قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن عبد الله بن يزيد مولى الأسود بن سفيان عن أبي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن وعن محمد بن عبد الرحمن بن ثوبان عن أبي هريرة قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. وذكر أن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فأذن لها في كل عام بنفسين، نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك زناد عن ابي زناد وعن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم.
قال مالك باب ما جاء عن النهي باب ما جاء في النهي عن الصلاة بالهاجرة. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن شدة الحر من فيه جهنم إن شدة الحر من فيه جهنم فإذا اشتدت الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. وقال إن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فقالت يا ربي أكل بعضي بعضا فأذن لها بنفسين في كل عام نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن عبد الله بن يزيد مولى الأسود بن سفيان الأسود right الأسود مولى الأسود بن سفيان عن أبي سلمة عبد الرحمن عن أبي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن وعن محمد بن عبد الرحمن بن ثوبان عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. وذكر أن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فأذن لها في كل عام بنفسين نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن أبي الزناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. صح.
فإن شدة
حري نعم من فيح جهنم. طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Inshallah, we'll continue with reading from the book, the Muwatta of Imam Malik, برواية أبو مصعب سبحان الله أحمد ابن أبي بكر صح؟
مصعب أحمد بن أبي بكر.
أي نعم أحمد بن أبي بكر المتوفى سنة 41 و200. And we've reached the chapter باب ما جاء في النهي عن الصلاة بالهاجرة. So we've noticed last time that Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he had the chapter ما جاء في النهي عن الصلاة بعد الصبح وبعد العصر. And in that bab he mentioned a hadith that dealt with the prohibition of praying 3 times. What was that hadith?
What was the hadith?
Yeah.
The whole hadith?
Yeah.
إن الشمس تدور معها قرن الشيطان فإذا ارتفع
الإسناد.
بالإسناد قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن هشام بن عروة عن أبيه.
Okay, you going there? Okay.
Is that the one? Oh no, it's not the one.
The first one.
The first one. Okay. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار عن عبد الله السنابحي أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الشمس تطلع معها قرن الشيطان فإذا ارتفعت فارقها ثم إذا استوت قارنها فإذا زالت فارقها فإذا دنت لغروب قارنها فإذا غربت فارقها ونهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الصلاة في تلك الساعات.
Right. I think you missed one, didn't you?
What? No, I didn't.
You did.
I don't think I did.
It just seemed like it was on it too. But nah. على كل حال. The point is that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he forbade as-salah fi tilka as-sa'at, in these 3 times. And so we saw that though Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he didn't mention that in the chapter title. And it's as if Imam Malik didn't have a problem praying at dhuhr, or praying in general, not dhuhr, praying in general, either tafat al-shams, when the sun was at high noon. But here we see that Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he follows this chapter up with a chapter called Bab al-Nahi ma ja'a fi al-Nahi an as-Salat bil-Hajira. What has been transmitted regarding the prohibition of praying during the Hajira. Wal-Hajira or al-Hajir or al-Hajira, then this is the highness of the sun, or when the sun slightly passes over the high noon, إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرُّ فِي شِدَّةِ الْحَرِّ. Right? So is it just when the sun is high? Can you use the word al-Hajira for that? Just when the sun is high and at noon? Or does it necessitate that it also be with heat? إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرُّ. هذا هو الذي عليه يعني أهل اللغة. They say that al-Hajira is when the sun is in its high point. إِذَا اشْتَدَّتِ الْحَرُّ, when it's hot. And that's important. We're going to see when it comes to the disagreement in this issue, is that the prohibition is al-Nahi and as-Salat fil Hajira, i.e. when the sun is still high and it's hot. As far as if the sun was high and it's not hot, like in the winter or in the fall, فَهَلْ يُقَالُ لِهَذَا هَاجِرَةٌ مُمْكِن. But it seems that Imam Malik, his usage of the word here for al-Hajira is inclusive to when it is hot. وَهَذَا مِنْ مَعَانِيهَا فِي اللُّغَةِ. And this is from its meanings in the language. And so this chapter, Imam Malik is following up the previous chapter about not praying either tafat al-shams with this prohibition of al-Nahi and as-Salat fil Hajira. But we run into our first problem. Our first problem is what was Imam Malik's opinion about praying either tafat al-shams? Yeah, what was his opinion about praying then? Huh? Permissible. There was nothing wrong with it, right? But then he has here ma ja'a fi al-Nahi and as-Salati bil Hajira, right? So is Imam Malik contradicting himself? Why not?
This is after Dhuhr came.
So he doesn't have a problem praying when the sun is high up.
Yes.
But he has a problem praying right after that. And if we look at the reasons why he didn't have a problem praying when the sun was high up, if we remember his evidence is that they would pray from the time they got to the masjid all the way until the imam came out. So that would mean from the time the sun was high up and after that. So Imam Malik didn't have a problem praying during that time. Is he contradicting himself?
The heat.
Huh?
If he's referring to the heat.
Exactly. You have to remember that. That's why we mentioned that the meaning of al-Hajira here for Imam Malik is not generally speaking, but it's when the sun is high and it's hot. And like this, you don't see Imam Malik contradicting himself, right? And that's why we said he excluded it from the last chapter title, right? No, it's the Nahi and as-Salat ba'd al-Subhi wa ba'd al-Asr. But as far as at high noon, there's nothing wrong with it, unless it's the Hajira. And if it's the Hajira, la fihi nahi. In that circumstance, there is a nahi. This first narration, he says, Abu Mus'ab حدثنا مالك عن زيد بن أسلم. زيد بن أسلم أبو عبد الله صح؟ أبو عبد الله زيد بن أسلم مولى Umar. His father Aslam was the freed slave of Umar. Zayd ibn Aslam was from the ulama of the tabi'een, sigaruhum. He died in the year 136 after the Hijrah. Zayd ibn Aslam al-Madani, Abu Abdullah. And we find that this tarjama, this particular chain, is one that is abundant. This is what they call a tarjama or a jad, right? A path of hadith that's common. Zayd ibn Aslam and Ata ibn Yasar. Ata ibn Yasar, Abu Muhammad al-Madani, wala Abu Abdul Rahman. Ata ibn Yasar, Abu Muhammad al-Madani, Mawla Maymuna, Zawjat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ata ibn Yasar, the freed slave of Maymuna, him and his brothers, because he had several brothers who were all people of knowledge. From the most famous of them was Sulaiman ibn Yasar, from the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah. So so you have Ata, who was the one known for hadith from them, and Sulaiman ibn Yasar, his brother, the one known for fiqh from amongst them. And likewise, Abdul Malik and Abdullah, also people who narrated and gave benefit. All of them the children of Yasar, the freed slaves of Maymuna, the Zawj of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Ata, we said that he died in the year 94, Am al-Fuqaha. هذا عطاء بن يسار. So he says, زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار عن أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. طيب, عطاء بن يسار من التابعين كبارهم ما لقي النبي. He didn't meet the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. So this hadith is mursal. طيب, any problem with it? We said no. Imam Malik, هي حجة عنده. Right? Also, we find that the rest of the chapter, Imam Malik does what? Brings this hadith with a full isnad, right? So even though he leaves out the Sahabi in this narration, or he leaves out who Atta is narrating on, it seems likely that Atta is narrating on Abu Hurairah. And this hadith, Ishtakat al-Nar, has been narrated on a large number of Sahaba, besides Abu Hurairah. So there's no question about the authenticity of this information. And Zayd ibn Aslam and Ata ibn Yasar. أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. الفيح, and it can also be said الفوح. الفيح or الفوح. It's al-intishar, when something spreads wide and covers all things, right? You say faharih, right? When you smell something good, you say fahatirih or faharih. That's a good smell that kind of wafted and took over the room, right? So fayhi jahannam is when the heat of jahannam fahat wa sata'at wa wasi'at wa intasharat. When the heat of Jahannam covers and touches and spreads everywhere. That's what it means when he says, Inna shiddatil harri min fayhi Jahannam. Inna shiddatil harri min fayhi Jahannam. فإذا اشتدت الحر فأبردوا بالصلاة. أبردوا, it means إذا اشتدت الحر فأبردوا. الإبراد أن تدخل وقت البرد. Right, this is a common way to phrase something. I say كيف أصبحت? How did you أصبحت? What's that mean? Enter into the time of sabah. كيف أمسيت? Enter into the time of masa. I might say أنجدت. All right. أريد أن أراد أن أنجد محمد. Meaning Muhammad, he went into the direction, the place of Najd. Or I might say Athama. Muhammad went into Tihama. So when you put a word on this scale, it often gives that meaning. Abrada, i.e. to enter into the time of Bard. So, فَإِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرِّ, when it gets really hot, فَأَبْرِدُوا. Then enter into the time when it's cool. Right? I akhir as-salat. Delay the salat until the time of coolness. فأبردوا عن الصلاة. في بعض الروايات فأبردوا بالصلاة. فأبردوا عن الصلاة. وقال إن النار اشتكت إلى ربها. إن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فقال يا رب. إن النار اشتكت النار. اشتكت النار إلى ربها فقال يا رب أكل بعضي بعضا. طيب, I'm trying to think, is there any words in here? فأذن لها بالنفسين في كل عام. نفس في الشتاء. نفس أو نفس يجوز كلاهما. You could say it either way. نفس or نفس. Right? So don't get caught up by the harakat in your book. Right? This is something that you can happen, right? A person might get caught up. This print has nafasin. And from the actions of the scholars of the past, and from the things that would make a manuscript valuable, is that it would put the harakat. Right? Like, for example, the riwayat of Bukhari al-Yunini. Right? One of the things that's so valuable about it is that they put effort into putting the harakat. Because there are multiple ways to do the harakat at times. right? And so like that in this narration, is it nafasin or nafasun? It could be either way, right? Nafasin ala atf, being and, right? اشتكت النار إلى ربها فأذن لها بالنفسين, be nafasain, and then badal nafasin. Or it could be على الإبداء, على البداية, right? ابتداء, right? نفس, that's the مبتدا. في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. طيب. Before we get into the issues of the hadith, right? Because remember last time we talked about what we're going to try to do from now on is present the issues of the hadith just as Imam Malik intended them to some extent, and then branch off out of that. But before we do that, we'll do that at the end of the chapter. Before we do that, let's talk about what's in this hadith from fawaid, from benefits that aren't necessarily connected to the point that Imam Malik brought this hadith for. طيب. إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. One benefit here is that is summer because of Jahannam, and is winter because of Jahannam.
It says in the hadith.
What does it say in the hadith? This is the thinking process. Everything here you should be able to extract your opinion from the hadith. Is summer Jahannam, and is winter because of Jahannam? Is the cause of winter and the cause of summer Jahannam?
Because of inna shiddat al-har,
So what does that mean? Huh?
the severity of the intensity of
The intensity of the heat.
heat
Of what?
from the fayh of Jahannam.
The intensity of the heat of what?
Jahannam.
Of summer.
Right.
The intensity of the heat of summer
Yes.
is because of Jahannam.
No.
So is summer because of Jahannam?
Good question. I
Would
thought
you-
it was just the severity. When it's ever
severity of
severe,
it, yeah.
that's when it's
It's
this.
an important difference.
Yeah, because it's not always hot.
Summer is not because of Jahannam,
Right.
right? Summer is not because of Jahannam. Summer is because of summer. Somebody might say, you Muslims, you guys are so backwards. You guys are in these fables and legends. This is the 21st century. We know that summer is because the close proximity of the earth to the sun and all of these things that happen. You guys are saying summer is caused by Jahannam. I say, nobody said that. But your hadith says, إِنَّ شِدَّةَ الْحَرِّ مِنْ فَيْحِ جَهَنَّمْ. We say, yeah, the severity of the heat is because of the intensity of Jahannam, or the fayh of Jahannam. But as far as summer itself, no, it can have other reasons. So summer is not because of Jahannam, just like winter is not because of Jahannam. But the severity of the heat in the summer, when it gets really hot in the summer, is from Jahannam. طيب, is it really from Jahannam, or is that just, metaphorically speaking?
Really from Jahannam.
It's really from Jahannam. لكن يا أخي كيف? Before talking about that, because that's easy, right? One of the narrations says, فَإِنَّهَا تُفْتَحُ فِيهَا أَبْوَابُ جَهَنَّمْ. The doors of Jahannam are open. What do you think happens when the doors of Jahannam are open?
The heat comes out.
The heat comes out. هكذا خلق الله سنة الله الذي, right? So when the heat comes out of Jahannam, where does it go? Wherever Allah wants it to. And from the places that heat affects, it's earth. And it's not hard to believe. It's not far-fetched. It's not something that's difficult. Do we know how Jahannam is? All we know of Jahannam is what Allah told us. And since Jahannam it does exist, as we're about to talk about in a second, then it's not far-fetched to understand that the heat of Jahannam can affect us here on earth. And this is why I often say, like, understanding science to some extent, it gives you a leg up in understanding the Quran and the Sunnah and refuting the modernists, the rationalists, the scientists. How can Jahannam affect earth? How can the heat of Jahannam affect earth? Right? This is something they might say. You ask them a simple question. What's the question? What's the simple question you ask the scientist who tells you how can Jahannam affect Earth? How does the heat of the sun affect Earth? When you go up in the sky, what is it? It's cold. You get in space, it's what? It's cold. How far is the sun? The sun is so far away. How come the sun can affect us here on the ground till it's hot, sweating, and doesn't affect everything in the middle? How can that happen? And the sun is so far away. And we know the sun's heat according to them. We've sent satellites and telescopes and we can measure the temperature of the sun. And that sun can be so far away that its light and its heat reaches to Earth and Mercury and Pluto and all of these planets that they call, right? And they have somewhat of an understanding of it and nobody denies it. Like, how hot is Jahannam? How far is Jahannam? Right? So how come you all can believe that the sun's heat can reach us here on the earth and not burn up everything in between? And you don't believe that the heat of Jahannam can reach us when Allah allows its doors to be open and allows it to get that breath in the summertime? Wallahi, these things, when you understand their science, it opens up and says, you know what? These are not fables. These are not make-believe fairy tales. Tafadal.
Also the sun, if people worship it, they're going to see it in Jahannam. So Jahannam is...
It's much bigger.
Much bigger.
Not even if they worship it. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. From the ahjar that are going to be thrown into Jahannam is the sun and the moon. Right? So the point of it is that don't let somebody move you off of the reality of what the Prophet ﷺ said, using what they think to be intellect and what they think to be science and what they think to be smarts and intelligence. The things that they deny are the same as the things that they affirm. They deny Jahannam and its ability to make it hotter on earth, but they affirm the fact that the sun does it. And the heat of Jahannam far surpasses the sun and is greater in size than the sun. So why would we deny one? Well, if it was really that hot, it would burn up everything on the way. Okay, the sun doesn't burn up everything on the way. But the next question, is Jahannam here? Does it already exist? هذا الشيء لا يختلف فيه أهل السنة والجماعة. This is something that the people of the Sunnah and their group, they have no disagreement about. Jahannam is already here. Jannah and Jahannam already exist. It's something that is more obvious than needs evidence, except that the people of innovation, from them are those who deny their existence right now. Like Jahm ibn Safwan, the Jahmiyyah, they deny the existence of Jannah and Jahannam. Right? The ayat in the Quran, فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ, that has been prepared. If it's been prepared, that means it's what? It's ready. Right? يا أيها سارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وجنة أرضها السماوات والأرض أعدت للمتقين. صح? So the Jannah is prepared. There's a hadith that the Malik Mikael عليه الصلاة والسلام ما ضحك منذ خلق الله النار, that he didn't laugh since Allah created the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ, he said to Jibril, Mali Mikael la yadhak. What's up with Mikael? He never laughs. He said, Ma dhahika mundu khalaq Allahu an-nar. He hasn't laughed since Allah created the hellfire. So that's a clear proof that the hellfire is created. And there are many narrations. The Prophet said that Allah said to Jibril, go look at the paradise. And so he looked at the paradise and what was prepared in it and what was made in it. And he said, oh my Lord, I don't think that there's anybody except that they're going to want to go to it. And then Allah surrounded it with displeasing things. And he said to Jibril, go look again. And when Jibril looked again and saw it surrounded by those displeasing things, he said, oh my Lord, I don't think there's anybody that's going to get into it. And then he told him to look at the hellfire. And he looked at the hellfire and what was prepared in it, and he said, oh my Lord, I don't think there's anybody except that they're going to stay away from it. And then Allah surrounded it by the things that are enjoyable and pleasing. And then he told him to look again, and he said, oh my Lord, I don't think there's anybody except that they're going to go into it. So all of this shows us that the Jahannam is created now. It exists as of right now. The Prophet ﷺ, he saw Jahannam and its hold, the frights and the scary things that happen in Jahannam. He saw Jannah. The Hurul Ain are in Jannah, right? Now, is the Jannah that Allah talks about in the Quran the Jannah that Adam was in? This is an issue that they disagree about. And this shows you the error in the expression of some people that there is no disagreement in affairs of Aqidah. And I want to be clear here. This phrase, there is a general meaning and a specific meaning. And when you hear somebody make a statement, depending on who the person is, determines how you handle their statement. If the person is a person on the Sunnah, a person known for goodness, a person known for following the right path, and he says that there was disagreement in certain matters of Aqidah, then he's being detailed in a way that is valid. As opposed to if you hear a person of innovation saying there's difference of opinion in Aqidah, then what is his intention? Division, to allow innovation. Oh no, the Salaf disagreed in Aqidah. All right, so they did it, we can do it. And so because of this, you find that a lot of scholars, they just generally state the statement, there's no disagreement in Aqidah, right? But like all things, we have to look at what? This statement, there's no disagreement in Aqidah. Is it Quran? Is it Sunnah? That there's no disagreement in Aqidah? Is that a hadith from the Prophet where he said there's no disagreement in Aqidah? So this is the statement of who? A person. And the statement of a person requires evidence. And to say that there is a consensus, well, the scholars have agreed there's no disagreement in Aqidah, we would have to look and say, okay, what scholars mentioned this consensus, right? And the reason why this statement is dangerous is because, as we said, there are details in it. So the first question is, what do you mean by Aqidah? And this is what you do in all affairs. When somebody makes these type of statements, what do you mean? When you say there's no disagreements in Aqidah, what do you mean? What's Aqidah? Huh? What is Aqidah? Come on, man. Belief? What's another word for it? Al-i'tiqad, but that's Aqidah, same thing. No, yaqeen. Some people might use yaqeen, right? But we just said that. That's the word, Aqidah. Right? First of all, what does the word Aqidah mean? So we've left Muwatta now. We're going back to Aqidah class. Aqidah means to what? Tie a knot. Why do we call what we believe an Aqidah? Why do we call it a knot? الذي ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. Why do we call what we believe a knot?
Because Allah says, hold on to the rope of Allah.
The rope can be untied. Why do we call what we believe a knot? First of all, the word Aqidah, it's not in the Quran. It's not, right? It's not in the Sunnah. Where do we get this word from? Somebody decided to take this word and use it for what we believe. First of all, what is what we believe called? Yeah. What is what we believe called? Iman. Iman. Tawheed. Sunnah. These are words that the Prophet, that Allah used in the Quran and the Prophet used in the Sunnah to describe what we believe. Right? Al-Iman. Right? Tawheed. Sunnah. Sharia. right? These are words that reflect what we believe. The Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah. But the word Aqidah isn't there. Somebody decided to take this word Aqidah and apply it to Iman. Why did they take the word Aqidah and apply it to our Iman? Why did they say this is a word we're going to use for what we believe? Somebody had to do that. So why did they do it? What does the word Aqidah mean? To tie a knot. What does tying a knot have to do with what we believe?
So you believe something, you tie it, make it firm.
You tie it where? Where's your belief?
In the heart.
In the qalb. It's as if your heart is tied around it like a knot. If you have a bag and you tie a knot around it, what can't happen?
Something come out.
Nothing can come out. If I have a bag and I tie it in a knot, the things that are in that bag are not going to what? They're not. So the things that is from my Aqidah, that my heart is tied around it, no matter how much shaking, no matter how much people turn me upside down and shake me, it's not coming out because that's my Aqidah. It's tied up. Also, if you have a bag that's tied up, what else can't happen?
Something could go in.
Nothing else can get in. No matter how much they throw their shubuhat and they try to add stuff into my cart is closed. It's ma'qud. It's tied off. It's ended. There's no more adding to it. So this is why they called what we believe an Aqidah. But what is Aqidah? You can say it now, it's what we believe. It's information. In the religion, in the Sharia, we have two things. Al-akhbar wal-amr wal-nawahi. We have information and we have commands and prohibitions. Masail ilmiya wa masail amaliya. Issues, topics that deal with informative statements. And topics that deal with requesting statements. Right? Allah tells you to pray, that is a what? That's a request. Allah tells you don't commit zina. That's an insha. That's a requesting statement. Allah tells you that la ilaha illahu. What is that? That's an information. Allah tells you that tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. What is that? It's information. So when we have the religion, from the mistakes that people did in later generations is that they broke the religion into fundamentals and secondary issues. Now, are there fundamentals in the religion? Are there secondary issues in the religion? So how is that a mistake? It's because the way they categorize these two is that they said fundamental issues are issues of information and secondary issues are issues of request. And the primary issues, the fundamental issues are what? Aqidah. And the secondary issues are the issues of what? Action. And you see this classically. For example, what did the Ahnaf call Aqidah?
Was it like major fiqh?
Major fiqh al-akbar. And they call the rulings and regulations that relate to your actions fiqh al-asghar. So they broke the religion up into major fundamental principles and secondary issues, and they made the Aqidah the fundamentals. But the Aqidah is really just what? Information. And so when they take this general concept, they started saying what? There's no disagreement in what? Aqidah. There's no disagreement in what? Usul. Right? All of them agreed about the usul. All of them agreed about Aqidah. Right? They disagreed about the furu'. They disagreed about halal and haram. They disagreed about chest or on the side. But there was no disagreement in Aqidah. But when we look, we say, well, when you say this, what did you mean by Aqidah? Did you mean by Aqidah affairs of information? Did they disagree about affairs of information? Absolutely. Did the Prophet see Allah? Huh? The question is, did they disagree? Right? Was Iblis an angel or not from the angels? They disagreed. Is this Aqidah? This is Aqidah. But this issue, is it a primary issue or a secondary issue? It's secondary. It's not important, right? طيب. 5 salat. Primary issue or secondary issue? It's primary, but that's not Aqidah. So you see, the error was in the division of primary and secondary, fundamental and branch issues. Salat is from the most primary of issues. It's the second pillar of Islam. How can you delay this to make it a secondary issue? Was the Jannah that Adam was in the same Jannah that we're going to go back to? Is that a primary issue? Secondary. But that is an affair of what? Aqidah. It's an issue of information, right? And so if somebody says there was no disagreement in Aqidah, what do they really mean? If we're taking it to be a true statement, there was no disagreement in the primary affairs of Aqidah. Did they disagree that Allah have a face?
Yes.
No, they did not disagree in that issue. That's a primary affair. There's no disagreement. Did they disagree about the ayah, فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ? Wherever you turn, then there is the wajh of Allah. Did they disagree about the meaning of wajh in that ayah? What does that ayah mean? Wherever you turn, then there is the wajh of Allah. Some of them say it's the face of Allah. Some of them say it's the direction of Allah. طيب, is that disagreement? So the Salaf, they disagreed in Aqidah, ya akhi, la. Did they disagree that Allah had a face? No. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك. There's no disagreement about Allah having a face. They might disagree about, does this ayat mean Allah has a face? But there's no disagreement, does Allah have a face? طيب, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam going to sit next to Allah sit with Allah on the arsh? You said no? You don't think so? عسى ربك أن يبعثك مقاما محمودا. Maybe your Lord, or for sure your Lord, will raise you to the maqam al-mahmud. Mujahid, he said, أن يجلسه ربه على العرش معه. The meaning of this ayah, the maqam al-mahmud, is that Allah will sit him on the throne with him. Will Muhammad sit on the arsh with Allah? Some of them say yes, Athar, Mujahid, we'll take it. Some of them say no, the Athar is Mujahid, it's not a hadith, it's not a sahabi, there's weakness in it, we won't take that. Do we disagree about information? Do we disagree about if it's true, then it will be in a way that befits Allah's majesty? Min ghayri mumasa. And we do it bila kayf, wala tahrif, wala tamthil, wala ta'til, right? We don't disagree about that. We might disagree about this topic, but we don't disagree about, does Allah have a shin? You say yes, why? The Quran says so? What's Allah say? Yawma yukshafu an saq? What's that mean? You didn't know that the Arab, they say yukshafu an saq is when things get serious?
Yeah, but what about the hadith?
I didn't get to the hadith. You said the ayah. So that ayah, yawma yukshafu an saq. Some of them say the day when Allah will uncover his shin, right? And so therefore Allah has a shin. Some of them say yawma yukshafu an saq, the day things get serious. Did the Salaf disagree in Aqidah? They disagreed about information, right? But do they disagree that Allah has a face, has a hands, has qualities that he is described with? And so when they come to the hadith, when Allah will show himself in his surah and things like that, or the kuffar will be asked to prostrate to Allah and their backs will be, we don't deny it because that hadith proved that. But is it possibility to say, if I see a Salaf said something about this hadith here, or this ayat here, that isn't what somebody else said, this is how we understand this statement. Did they disagree in Aqidah? Did they disagree about informative statements? Absolutely. Did they disagree about the fundamentals in Aqidah? Did you find any of them saying that Allah's laughing means his pleasure? No. Because Allah's laughing means what? His laughing. Did you find any of them saying that Allah's hand means his power? Not the, that's what we're talking about, right? No, because Allah's hand means his hand. But does every time you see the word hand mean that it means Allah's hand? وَالسَّمَاءُ بَنَيْنَاهُ بِأَيْدٍ. That doesn't mean hand, right? And that ayah, it doesn't mean hand. Does that mean the Salaf disagree? Does Allah have a hand or not? No. Because just because we disagree about an informative statement, it doesn't mean that we disagree about the fundamentals of Aqidah. And so this is what we mean when we say there's no disagreement in Aqidah. We don't mean there's no disagreement in informative statements. We mean that there's no disagreement in the fundamentals of Aqidah. And so all of this, if you're around a bunch of Salafis and students and people who have understanding, you can say what? Yeah, they disagreed in affairs of Aqidah. Or what do you mean by Aqidah there? Informative statements. If you're around a group of people who are innovators or ignorant or not really students, what's your statement? There was no disagreement in Aqidah. And that's a difference that is necessary to understand that so many people miss. And so they take a statement and they act as if it's absolute when that statement isn't Quran or Sunnah. Right? From that is this conversation. Is the Jannah that we're going to go back to, may Allah enter me and you all into Jannah, is that the Jannah that Adam was in? Some disagree. Some of them say yes, it was the same Jannah. Others say no, it had to be a different Jannah. Because the Jannah that we're going to go back to, once you go in, you don't come out. And there's no commands and prohibitions in it. Right? Does it matter? Because that is a what? That's a second Aqidah, but this is from Aqidah. No, it's a secondary issue. Like, the point of it is in this hadith, going back to the point, Jannah and Jahannam are makhluqatan. They already exist. فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة وقال اشتكت النار إلى ربها. The hellfire complained to its Lord. Does the hellfire think?
Yes.
Does the hellfire have intelligence?
It's alive.
It's alive. These words, you find the people of innovation, this becomes a big issue to them. Does this wall have aql? You said no?
No.
It's just a wall. It doesn't think, right? No. Irada and aql is different things, but that's the question. That's why I said this becomes a big issue with the people of innovation. What is aql? Is it sentient? Is it competent? Is it aware? Is this wall aware of us? So this wall isn't aware of us.
Maybe in its own
Witness.
We made the wall. The reality of it is that yes, this wall is aware of us. It is. And this thing that the people of innovation and philosophy and science do when they talk about inanimate objects, objects that are non-sentient, they don't have aql. Linguistically, right, you might find it in the language. If something is غير عاقل, how do you make its plural? Mufrad mu'annath, right? Mufrad mu'annath if it's غير عاقل. And if it's aql, you make it jam mu'annath salim, right? Or jam mudhakkar salim. So they say this thing doesn't have intellect, that thing doesn't have intellect, right? And then they'll say that, well, you guys come and say that these things have intellect, these things are competent, these things are sentient, right? But the language itself says, remember, this language, this classification, this definition in the language, is it classical or is it new? Just because it's what you've been taught doesn't mean it's classical. Language, just like every other science, goes through stages. And the terms and the expressions that we use when we say things doesn't mean it was the terms and the expressions that were used when the Salaf said things. And remember, the Salaf existed at a time where there was no grammar. Meaning not that grammar didn't exist, there was no classifications. Right? This is why it's important to learn these type of things. Who invented this field of grammar? What were their expressions? How did the kesra become a kesra? Right? There was no kesra at some point in time. At some point in time, somebody made up a kesra. And that means that everything about the kesra has a reason. Why is it written at the bottom? Why is it a line, not a dot, not a square? Right? Why do they call it kesra? Why do they call it khafd? Why do they call it jar? All of these things have a reason. And the more classic you go, you find that the Salaf, they had etiquette in how they expressed these reasons. For example, and we're off topic but on topic. Fu'ila. What's that called? That scale. Do you know that scale?
Passive.
Passive. What's it called in Arabic? Al-Mabni lil-Majhul. The scale that is built for the unidentified. Anything wrong with that? Dhurib al-Bab. The door was hit. Who hit the door? Majhul. So this scale shows us that it's built, the way that it's phrased indicates that we don't know who did it. Anything wrong with that?
Not right now.
Any problem?
No.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the actual ayat. I'm trying to think of an ayat. Give me an ayat. Nuzzila alayhi al-kitab. Nuzzila. Is there an ayat like that? What's the ayat? Nuzzila. I need an ayat with Nuzzila. Mumtaz. وإذا أنزلت سورة. طيب, who sent down the surah? But you said mabni lil majhul. You said we don't know who did it. In the Quran, we got mabni lil majhul. Waqila, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Who said it? I don't know. What angel said it? I don't know. It's mabni lil majhul. But here you said unzilat, right? But the tafsir is tafsir. That's not the statement. You said that this word was mabni lil majhul, and it's not majhul. I know who did it. It's Allah. How did the Salaf used to express that statement? Al-mabni lima lam yusam fa'iluhu. This scale is built in a way that the one who did it isn't mentioned. It has nothing to do with is he known or unknown.
Right.
It's just not mentioned. Which one makes more sense? Which one is more etiquette with Allah? The second. And that's how the Salaf used to express it. But when you learn Arabic and when you learn grammar, they're all going to say what? Al-mabni lil-majhul. Laysa kamithlihi shay. That kaf there. Do you know the i'rab of that kaf? وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ مِنْ فَوْقِ عِبَادِهِ. And he is the one who is powerful min fawq ibadihi. Do you know the i'rab of the word min there? Because there's another ayah that says, وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. In min, you don't need it. What do they call it? Ziyad. Extra. It's an extra word. You can take it out. Don't hurt the sentence. Anything wrong with that? It's just an extra word. You can take it out. I can say laysa mithlihi shay, or laysa mithluhu shay, or I can say laysa kamithlihi shay. Right? Lesta Muhammadan. Lesta bi Muhammadin. The ba there is what? Extra. Take it out. No problem. Anything wrong with that? That's grammar. That's what you learn in grammar. Harf zaid. An extra word. Anything wrong with that? But Allah said, Laysa kamithlihi shay. You saying that one of the words Allah didn't need to say it? It's extra. Serves no purpose. You just take it out. So what did the Salaf call that word? They called it sila. Harf sila. A word meant to serve some purpose of connecting and meaning. Which one is better? The second. Even though how you're going to learn Arabic, they're going to teach you that it's a what? Harf zaid. Now, is there, do we need to stop the dunya and like go through all the books and erase all the harf zaids and put sila there and, right? We learn. The same thing when we talk about like when somebody says majaz and now we understand this is what they mean. And this is what we're saying. But it's important to realize that the thing, just because you learned it a certain way, doesn't mean the Salaf had that same understanding or expression of the word that same way. And so when we come to this statement, intellectual, sentient, competent, or not, who came up with this classification? Because remember, who were the people who were great in the language? Not great. Who were the people who put the most work in the language?
Non-Arabs.
No. Yes and no. Yes, true, non-Arabs, but yes and no. I mean something specific. Who, when you look at most of the books of language, the people that wrote them were what? Deviants. They were Mubtadi'ah, Mu'tazila, and Asha'ira. And the science of tafsir and the science of language, they use this as their main medium to promote their falsehood. Because it's the easiest way to get these things ingrained in the people. And wallahi, it's no different than what they do today. They make up words and terminologies and classifications, and they take words away to shape your mind. You get on the internet, there's certain words you can't say on YouTube. You can't say murder or kill or suicide. They say unalive themselves, right? They can't say suicide because it'll cause a problem because they don't like that word. Now, that's small. A bigger level. How many genders are there?
2.
And then they tell you 3.
No, yeah.
Or multiple, or it's a spectrum. And like this, they just give you a reality and they make it linguistical. They make it linguistical because now I can raise you that this is the word for that. And before, you didn't have a word for that. You'll come to some cultures and they have no word for a boy girl. They have to make a whole sentence. This is a man who has done these actions to make himself a girl. There's no word for it. Because we don't know what this is. And so the point of it is that the people of innovation, the people of evil have consistently done this throughout the time. They'll make a linguistical as if it's the language, and that makes it easy for you to adopt it. And once everybody adopts it, then how do you argue it? If everybody uses the word this way, how do you argue that the word should be used that way? And this is why they put so much effort into language, into tafsir, and into explaining hadith. Because if we are the ones dominating this field, when it comes time for you to look up a word in the Quran and all you get is our explanation, you'll get our bid'ah. And that's why the Salaf, they even talk about when it comes to learning the language, something that's not a big deal, it's just a language. Right? Can I go to this country or that country, this masjid or that masjid, just to learn the language? They say be careful. An example that we always set, right? We're off topic, but on topic. Dhulm. Right? Some of you had this conversation with me before, right? What is dhulm? If I tell you dhulm is to act with somebody else's property in a way that they don't like. If I take your book and I rip it, what is that? That's dhulm. What do I do? I acted with somebody else's property in a way. Do you like me ripping your book? So I acted with somebody else's property in a way that they don't like. That's dhulm. Think about your examples of dhulm. Think about it. You got an example of dhulm?
Hitting somebody.
Your body is not mine. Do you like me hitting you?
No.
Okay, you got an example of dhulm?
Stealing.
Stealing. I took somebody else's property, did something with it. Dhulm. You got an example of dhulm? Breaking somebody's window.
Lying about Allah.
Lying about Allah. Okay, that's dhulm. Right? I said something about Allah and who He is that He doesn't like. That's dhulm. Anybody got a problem with that definition?
Yeah, because it's not the definition.
Why not? Who said?
It could be dhulm and the person is minded. Something that you did.
I'm not asking you about arguing the definition. I'm just, do you have a problem with the definition?
No, not. I mean, it's still fitting in what it is.
So if I tell you that this is the definition of dhulm, do you have a problem with it?
Yeah, what if the one who you did it to was an evildoer? You did something.
You can do dhulm to an evildoer.
He didn't like it.
You can do dhulm to an evildoer.
That's what I'm saying.
If I punch a kafir in the eye, that's what? It's dhulm. If I steal my mama's car, my mama's a kafir, I steal her car, that's what? It's dhulm.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you bring back society towards goodness, the evildoer is going to look at it as a dhulm to himself.
Can I take my mama's car to drive to the masjid or to drive her to the masjid? Can I kidnap my mama and drag her to the masjid? It's still dhulm. You see what I'm saying? Even though I got good intention, it's still dhulm.
Right.
So, anybody got a problem with that definition? To do with somebody
that's what they
else's property something that they don't like. To do with somebody else's property something they don't like. Does Allah do dhulm? Why not?
Because He owns everything.
So they say dhulm is impossible for Allah. We good, right? Everybody good? Dhulm is impossible for Allah?
No, he doesn't do it. He can do it if he wants
But
to.
Allah owns everything. So how can He do something
yeah.
with somebody else's property?
Yeah, that's true.
So dhulm is what?
Yeah, he can't.
He can't do it. It's
'cause
impossible.
That's what they say. Yeah, because he owns
You got
everything.
you got a problem with the definition so far?
Yeah.
What?
If Allah wants to make dhulm, he can do dhulm.
If Allah wanted to, He could have did it. And Allah praises Himself that He doesn't do it. Is it any praise? Is it praise to say, I don't fly? I can fly.
Right.
So there's no praise in it. Is it praise to say that this table doesn't lie? Why not? It can't lie. Doesn't speak the way we speak. So the point of it is that that's their definition of dhulm. And if you're just reading it in the language, you don't have anything wrong with it. But when you get to Aqidah, you find out that, man, they just destroyed half of your belief or a portion of your belief because they say Allah can't do dhulm. And therefore, Allah is free of motive and agenda when He does something. Allah creates for no purpose. And He does and doesn't do for no purpose. And if Allah wanted to create you and make you make salat all your life and be a great Muslim all your life and then put you in hell, that wouldn't be what? They say that wouldn't be dhulm. Because Allah owns you. He can do what He wants with you. Just from that definition. As opposed to the actual definition of dhulm, which is what? Putting something where it doesn't belong. If you punch a kafir in the eye, what's that?
Punched him in the eye.
What is it?
Maybe he deserved it.
No. The kafir walking down the street, what is it? That was your example.
Dhulm.
Dhulm. Because you did what?
Because I hit him for no.
I put my hand where it don't belong.
Yeah.
Your example was stealing. Why? What is that?
Steal.
Put your hand where you don't belong.
I took your property and put it with my property. It doesn't belong there.
Right.
To put something where it doesn't belong. Yours, breaking somebody's window. What is that? Because you did what?
Did something like that with
No.
Put something.
I put that rock where it didn't belong. Inside of that window. Does that rock belong inside of that window? Lying about Allah. What's that?
words where it didn't belong.
I put that lie somewhere it didn't belong. Right? And therefore, does Allah do dhulm?
No.
Because dhulm would be what?
Putting something where it don't
putting something where it doesn't belong. And if Allah wanted to put you in hellfire, He could. But that would be dhulm. And Allah doesn't do dhulm. Ya ibadi, inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi. I made dhulm haram for me to do.
That refutes that right there.
Exactly. But if you don't know the language and you don't know what to look out for, you took that original definition, and then when you get to this next stage in Aqidah, you're like, well, no, dhulm is to do something with somebody else's property. So the point of it is going back to all of this. All of this is like an introduction to this topic of, is this wall sentient? Does it have intellect? Is it alive? They'll say, no, ya akhi, this thing isn't alive. It doesn't think, it doesn't speak, it has no feelings, has no emotion, right? And you'll find them categorizing things. Okay, what about the dogs? Do they have feelings? Do they have emotions?
Yes.
But do they have intellect? They say no. That's why you say kelb, kelban, kilab, ra'aytu kilaba ta'kul. I saw a bunch of dogs eating, but I said like it was a female, ghayr aqil. Right? It's a bunch of them, but I talk about them like they're one female. Because dogs don't have intellect. So what about the malaika? This is an issue. Do the malaika have intellect?
Yes.
Okay, what do they mean by intellect? This is something I think a lot of people mix up on. Can the malaika make choices? Can they do something of their own? Huh? Yeah. A lot of people think that the ayah la ya'sun Allah ma amarahum wa yaf'aluna ma yu'marun, that they don't disobey Allah what He tells them to do and they do what they're commanded, that the angels can't do things independently. Right. But not Harut and Marut is a different example because Allah gave them free will. And that's where you get into this concept of, do the angels have the ability to make a choice? They asked Allah. You see what I'm saying? They question. أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا. But if Allah tells them to do something, لَا يَعْصُونَ اللَّهَ مَا أَمَرَهُمْ وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. But they have intellect, right? They can ask questions. They can disagree. They can argue with each other. فَاخْتَلَفَتْ مَلَائِكَةُ الرَّحْمَةِ وَمَلَائِكَةُ الْعَذَابِ. Right? They disagreed. And then Allah sent another angel and said, measure his distance. Right? So the point of it is that they come up with these terms and they try to apply it where they want. They'll say, no, this wall doesn't have any intellect. It's an inanimate object. It doesn't think. But Allah says, what about the wall in the Quran? فَوَجِدُوا فِيهَا جِدَارًا يُرِيدُ أَنْ يَنْقَضْ. They wanted to fall over. Does this wall have a desire to stand up? A desire to fall over? Can that be the case? We say, yeah, Allah said it. Allah says, فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا جِدَارًا يُرِيدُ أَنْ يَنْقَضْ. They found therein a wall that wanted to fall over. They say, no, akhi. Wanted means it was about to. But walls can't want something. We say, why not? إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ. Can this earth talk? Can the earth talk? I'm asking the question, can the earth talk?
By Allah's permission.
The answer is yes. Allah says in the Quran, يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. Can the sun talk? Yes. Every day the sun goes around the earth until it gets to the arsh, it makes sajda. And it does what? Ask for permission. No, that means the sun what? Talks in a way that is understandable and comprehensible to Allah. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحًا. And there is nothing except that it glorifies Allah. You just don't understand how it does it.
Trees and the stars.
The trees and the stars. Ya jibalu awwibi ma'ahu wat-tayr. O mountains, do the tasbih along with Dawood and the birds. Right? ارجعوا فقد كفيتم. Go on back. You've been sufficed. That ant made dua for you all already. Right? وعلمناه. What's the ayah? منطق الطير. What's the ayah? وورث سليمان داود وقال يا أيها الناس علمنا منطق الطير. Right? So he was taught the way the birds do what? The way the birds talk. That means the birds have what? Speech, intellect, the ability to converse and comprehend and communicate. Right? لكن لا تفقه. You don't understand how. And so when Allah says اشتكت النار, that fire complained. What did the fire do? Talk. Did it really complain? Did it really say something to Allah? Or is that just an expression and it didn't really mean that? It's the truth. سمعوا لها تغيظا وهي تفور. Right? فتقول ويقول لجهنم هل امتلأتِ وتقول هل من مزيد. It will say, there is no denying that the hellfire talk. So the point is that some of the people of innovation, they try to use this, they try to take these hadith and other than them and the ayat and other than them and say this is metaphorical. These things aren't alive. These things can't talk. These things can't think. These are just, and they'll bring you poetry and language and all of these things to try to support their view. But the reality is that Allah said what? أَنْطَقَنَا الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. He made us talk, the one who made everything talk. Who made you talk? Allah. Right? And if it wasn't for Allah, we'd be like cats, dogs, walls, and trees. So the point of it is, another thing, this classification that they make. This is alive and this is dead. The earth, is it alive or dead?
Sometimes alive, sometimes dead.
Huh? According to them, they'll say the earth is it's not suitable to be alive or dead. It's just the earth. It's inanimate. It's non-sentient. It doesn't have intellect. It doesn't think. But Allah says what? فَأَحْيَيْنَا بِهِ الْأَرْضًا بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. And we gave life فَأَحْيَيْنَا بِهِ بَلْدَةً. I'm trying to think of what I'm thinking about though. وأنزل من السماء ماء فأحيا بها الأرض بعد موتها. Right? The earth was what?
Dead.
And Allah made it what?
Alive.
So that means the earth is alive. Kayf ya akhi, how's the earth alive? In the way that Allah wants. Would I be wrong if I described the earth alive? No. And that's a reality, a linguistical reality, an actual reality. And all of these things go into other issues of aqidah.
Wasn't there a hadith about the Prophet saying that Allah will make some people walk on their faces or something on Yom Al-Qiyamah?
Yeah.
And then the Sahaba asked how, and then he answered like, the one who made him walk on the feet can make him.
I believe so. I know the hadith. Yeah, something like that. Yes, I know the hadith of what you're talking about. And so the point of it is all of this is تحت قدرة الله وهو على كل شيء قدير. So there's no need for us to look at this hadith and say anything other than the hellfire complained to its Lord. And so it said, "Oh my Lord, some of me has eaten other parts of me." Fire, as we know, in our fire, and this is our fire, when it gets big, some of the parts that are hotter will consume the other parts. And this makes the fire rage and get out of hand, because you'll have a small fire and then a big fire, then a big fire will take the small fire and become a bigger fire, and then the big fire will take whatever small fire and become bigger and bigger. Right? When it gets very hot, this is something that's known, that the fire, parts of it consume others and can fuel other parts. And the hellfire complained of this. أَكَلَ بَعْضِ بَعْضًا. Right? It's getting too hot. It's burning itself. SubhanAllah. فَأَذِنَ لَهَا بِالنَّفَسَيْنِ فِي كُلِّ عَامٍ. It allowed it to take 2 breaths in every year. Every year the hellfire is allowed to breathe twice. What is this breathing? How is this breathing? Allah knows best. How does the fire breathe? Does it go, I don't know. See what I'm saying? But I know the fire is allowed to breathe twice. And I know that at the time of its breath, because of another hadith, the doors of Jahannam are open. And it's allowed to exhaust. Right? Once in the summer and once in the winter. In the summer, the Prophet told us in this version of the hadith, Inna shiddat al-har min fayhi Jahannam. The extreme heat in the summer is from the exhausting of the hellfire. When the hellfire breathes, if you want to say breathes out, exhaust, that's the extreme heat. Sumumun yahliku shay. It's a heat, and this is important. What kind of heat is from the heat of the Jahannam? Right now it's hot outside. I was thinking about this right now when we prayed Dhuhr. It was hot. Did we delay?
No.
Why not? That's when we get to the issues.
That's a good question.
That's when we get to the issues. But when is the hellfire breathing out? Or when is the hellfire breathing? It's been hot for a while. It'll be hot all summer in some places. Right? Hot for me is 93 degrees. Kuwait, it's 110. Does it breathe different times at different places at different amounts? Allahu A'lam. But you might not know specifically without having revelation from Allah when it's happening. But how do you know it's happening? In one of the narrations of the hadith it says, Samumun yahliku shay. A heat that destroys stuff. It's so hot that it's ruining things. It's destroying things, right? The type of heat you could die in. The type of heat you could pass out in. The type of heat it's hot enough to boil an egg, right? It's not always like that. But when it's like that, it's a good chance it's from the fay of Jahannam. And it's once every year when this is the hottest been all year. Right? Allah knows best. This is from the fay of Jahannam. Likewise, the opposite in the winter. When it gets, there's a moment in the winter when it gets extremely cold. What is that moment in the winter when it gets extremely cold? Zamharir. It's from the extreme cold of Jahannam. From the things that some people are unaware of is that Jahannam is cold as well as hot.
That's cool.
Right? Zamharir. Right? The Jahannam gets extremely cold. And don't be surprised by that. What's a desert in this world? What's a desert? Or like Alaska is called or the Arctic is called a desert. It's deserted. Right? But you can have a desert can be hot. And even the desert, the hot desert at night, it gets what? Extremely cold. Right? So the point of it is don't be taken back that the Jahannam is hot and cold. That's the way Allah chooses to punish his slaves, those who he chooses to punish. May Allah protect us and you from the hellfire. So, you have this Jahannam. And the cold, when is the cold of Jahannam the cold of its breathing? I mean, the cold in the winter, the cold of the breathing of Jahannam? Zamharirun yahliku shay'a. When it's extremely cold, that is destroying things. Right? How long does it last? When does it come? I don't know. But I know that this happens, right? And so this hadith, there's no disagreement about it. Like, the next narration, he says, Haddathana Abdullah ibn Yazid Mawla Sufyan. Mawla al-Aswad ibn Sufyan. Like, Abdullah ibn Yazid, Thiqatun Madani. He's, Saduq Madani. Abdullah ibn Yazid, Saduq Madani. Abu Salama, Abu Abdul Rahman. His kunya is Abu Abdul Rahman, Abdullah ibn Yazid, Madani. He died in the year 148. He died in the year 148. Now, from the things that they mention about this biography, Mawla Sufyan. Who is Sufyan? There's come different versions. Mawla al-Aswad ibn Sufyan, Mawla al-Aswad ibn Abd al-Asad, Mawla al-Aswad min Ali Sufyan. Right? So who is he? The one who freed him. I found this interesting, so I'm mentioning it. Abd al-Asad. Does anybody know who he is? Abd al-Asad is the father of Abdullah ibn Abd al-Asad. Does anybody know who Abdullah ibn Abd al-Asad is? Abu Salama. The husband of Salama. Right? The Sahabi who was well known, who died, Abu Salama, his name was Abdullah ibn Abd al-Asad. And he had two brothers. He had Sufyan and he had al-Aswad. Right? So the children of Aswad with Abdul Asad were three. Al-Aswad, Abdullah, and Sufyan. This individual, Abdullah ibn Yazid, we know who he is. It's not a big deal. Died 148. Was he the freed slave of Sufyan, the son of Abdul Asad? Or was he the freed slave, was he the freed slave of Al-Aswad, the son of Abdul Asad? Different narrations. This is important in the science of hadith as it shows our detail. Sufyan had a son. Sufyan ibn Abdul Asad had a son named Al-Aswad. So his son has the same name as his brother. And that's who it is. Al-Aswad ibn Sufyan ibn Abdul Asad. Right? So that's who he is. So when you see him being referred to as Al-Aswad ibn Abdul Asad, they're attributing him to his grandfather. Right? Because if I'm not mistaken, Al-Aswad died on Kufr. Al-Aswad died on Kufr. As far as Sufyan, then he lived and he freed slaves. As far as Abdullah, then he died on Islam in the Battle of Badr or the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud, right? La. Nah, the Battle of Uhud. La, the Battle of Badr. The Battle of Badr. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he married Salama year 3. Maybe after the Battle of Uhud, I'm not sure. So I just found that interesting about who he was. Abdullah ibn Yazid, the free slave of Al-Aswad ibn Sufyan. Right? And Abi Salama. Abi Salama ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. He's well known. Right? From the Fuqaha. Some of them accounted him from the Fuqaha as-Sab'ah. His kunya was Abu Abdullah. His kunya was Abu Salama. And they disagree about was that his name or not. It said that his name was Abdullah. It said that his name was Abdullah. He died in the year of the Fuqaha, 94. Imam. Fiqatun Imam. We talked about him before. He was born in the year 22. And he never narrated from his father. His father, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, from the 10 that was promised paradise, Abu Salama never narrated from him. Right? And from the things I found interesting about him, in spite of the vast knowledge that he got, he didn't get from Ibn Abbas. Because he used to argue with Ibn Abbas. And so he was forbidden the knowledge of Ibn Abbas because of this. Right? He used to disagree with Ibn Abbas a lot. And so that caused him to miss out on the knowledge of Ibn Abbas. What's the benefit in that?
Different.
Huh?
To know that they're different.
They're different. So it's okay to differ with your teacher. You can have a different opinion than your teacher. What's another benefit in that? What's another benefit in that?
You said he was refused to get knowledge from Ibn Abbas?
He was prevented. He did not get the knowledge of Ibn Abbas.
What prevented him?
What do you think prevented him? Arguing with his teacher. Arguing with your teacher prevents you from getting knowledge. This is something that a lot of students miss out on, especially when we're young and when we're like tasting knowledge for the first time. We read Uthaymeen's book. We used to go through this all the time, right? So I got failed on a test. Did you think you smart? The teacher asked the question, what's the definition of ibadah? What's the definition of ibadah? That's the translation. What's the definition? What is ibadah?
So,
You know ibadah. What's ibadah? What's worship?
Anything that brings you closer to Allah.
Okay, close. Ibn Taymiyyah said ibadah is a comprehensive noun. Ismun jami'un lima yuhibbuhu Allah wa yarda. It's a comprehensive noun for everything that Allah loves and is pleased with, from statements or actions that are done outwardly or inwardly. This is the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah. The word worship, ibadah, is a comprehensive noun. It covers everything from anything that Allah is what? Loves and is pleased with. Does Allah love you smiling at your Muslim brother? Ibadah. Does Allah love you? And then they have different definitions when they talk about what is ibadatun mahad and ibadatun, right? Anyway. So the point is, that's the definition of Ibn Taymiyyah. You got to memorize that. Ismun jami, a comprehensive noun for anything that Allah loves or is pleased with, from actions and statements, whether they're outward, like salat, or whether they're inward, like hope, right? Whether they're outward or inward actions or statements. That's what they mentioned in class. And everybody knows this definition. That's the first definition of ibadah you probably get as a student, right? But I just read Uthaymeen's book, and he defined ibadah a different way. Anything wrong with that? No, because ibadah has different meanings. Ibadah is a masdar. It can have two different meanings. It can have the meaning of the fi'l, and it can have the meaning of the maf'ul, right? Like the word khalq. When Allah says khalqullah, what is Allah talking about? Dhalika khalqullah. That is the creation of Allah, the things that Allah created. But the quality of Allah's creating is called what? Khalq. Khalqullah, right? So the masdar, it can be the action or it can be the object. Ibn Taymiyyah's definition is the definition if it's the what? It's the comprehensive noun for anything that Allah loves and is pleased with is the what? The object, the thing that you did. What did you do? You made salat. It's the object of what you did, right? I decided to give I knew everybody was going to give the definition of Ibn Taymiyyah. I want to be smart. I want to be different. My teacher told us in class, this is the definition of ibadah. But shit, what they mean says. So I write it on my paper. It's drawing closer to Allah. Anything that gets you, getting closer to Allah. At-taqarrab ila Allah. Mahabbatan wa ta'zeeman. Bifi'li awamirihi wa ijtinabi nawahihi. Getting closer to Allah with love and reverence by doing what He said and staying away from what He forbade. And I got my test back. I knew what my teacher was going. I looked at it. Arguing with your teacher, we go through this. A new student always wants to show off and show out. But arguing with your teacher, people, but Sheikh, what they mean, but Sheikh Fawzan said, but Sheikh Abdul Muhsin said, you're in class. Learn. Be quiet. You can disagree. Get the information. But don't argue with your teacher. Because arguing with your teacher will do what? It'll prevent you the benefit. Who did you get that example from, that arguing with your teacher will prevent you the benefit? Who? It's going to help you remember who he is. Abu Salama Ibn Abdul Rahman. Right? Because who did he argue with? Ibn Abbas. And he missed out on the knowledge of Ibn Abbas. Right? He got the knowledge of Aisha. He got the knowledge of Ibn Umar. But he missed out on the al-Bahr. He missed the ocean. Right? Because he did what? He used to argue with the ocean. That's Abu Salama. Muhammad ibn Thawban, Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Thawban, Abu Abdullah al-Madani, min al-Thalitha, thiqah. They don't know exactly when he died, but he was from the Thalitha. If you're going to be in the field of learning about people, you have to learn about the tabaqat, the different generations. Ibn Hajar's generational scale is the most prominent. And so when he says somebody's from the Thalitha, he means they are from the Kibar Tabi'in. But they were born after Islam. They were born after the Prophet died. You see what I'm saying? Or after the Hijrah. So the first level is the Sahaba. Right? He says the Tabaqatul Ula, that's the Sahaba. Everybody from the Sahaba is on that level. Even if they were born late. Then you have a tabaqatu thaniya. The second level is those people who were tabi'een but were born before Islam or during Islam but didn't meet the Prophet. Then you have a thalitha, is the older tabi'een. They were born, they met a large number of the older Sahaba. Then you have a rabi'ah, awsat al-tabi'een. Then you have al-khamisa, or sigar al-tabi'een. Then you have al-khamisa, which would be the sigar al-tabi'een, or the really, really old atba' al-tabi'een. They were around during the time of the Sahaba, just didn't meet any. Like Abu Hanifa, right? From al-khamisa. And like this. And when he talks about a different generation, it kind of helps you recognize when they might have died, right? So anybody from the 1, 2, they would have died before 100 most of the time. And then anybody from 3 to I think 6 or 7, they died before 200. And then anybody after that would have died before 300 when you talk about Kutub al-Sittah. Anyway, so that's Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Thawban al-Qurashi mawlahum, right? He was a freed slave from the people of Quraysh. I mean, he wasn't Qurayshi by blood, but he was from their freed slaves. He was thiqah from the 3rd generation, or the 3rd level of scholarship, right? The Kibar al-Tabi'een. Abu Hurairah al-Dawsi Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr. Anybody remember how many hadith he narrated? 5,374. He died in the year 58. This narration is the same one, right? Malik and Abdullah ibn Yazid, Mawla al-Aswad ibn Sufyan, and Abi Salama ibn Abdul Rahman, وعن Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Thawban, and Abi Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Except here he has it backwards. And I want you to, well, it has it backwards in our riwayah. Because in the riwayah of Yahya, it doesn't. In our riwayah, it says, إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرْمُ فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنَ الصَّلَاةِ. In the riwayah of Yahya, it says, إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرْمُ فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنَ الصَّلَاةِ. Right? So he uses that same word in all 3 narrations. That's what we already know, the permissibility of narrating by meaning. Right? إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرْمُ إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرْمُ. But those subtle differences, when we talk about narrating by meaning, like, I'm sorry. Let me take a second. I know, that's what I'm about to come to. But before I came to that, I wanted to take a second because I get excited, and I've been noticing this about class. Is class too long?
No, this is good.
We're not going too long. We're not doing too much.
I'm good. I don't know.
So, when we talk about narrating by meaning, is it permissible? Yes or no? Scholars disagree. And the stronger position is that it is permissible to narrate by meaning. Although it's better to narrate verbatim. Right? So if you have the ability to narrate verbatim, do so. If not, it's permissible to narrate by meaning. And the Salaf, they used to narrate by meaning. Even the Sahaba would narrate by meaning. We talked about it before when we said the Prophet forbade this. Is that what the Prophet said? Right? The Prophet might have said something completely different, but the Sahabi is saying the Prophet forbade this. What is that? Narrating by meaning. I'm telling you the meaning of what the Prophet said. So we know that narrating by meaning is permissible, but to narrate by meaning has conditions. And the most important one is that you know the differences in the words and what they represent, and you don't narrate by meaning in a way that changes the meaning. Like, this is where it becomes problematic. You have to know the differences between the words. So I have to know if I narrate. I'll give one of my favorite examples of this is the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit. The people that came to the Prophet ﷺ, they said, أردنا أن نسألك أن أول هذا الأمر قال كان الله ولم يكن شيء. And there's 3 different versions. قبله غيره or معه. There was Allah and there was nothing before him. There was nothing with him. There was nothing besides him. So when we narrate a hadith by meaning, we know that this hadith it's one occurrence. It's not multiple occurrences. It's not multiple stories where the Prophet could have said this and that, which happens. This is one hadith, one story. Did the Prophet say all three of these words?
No.
He couldn't have. He didn't say there was Allah, there was nothing before Allah besides him. Right? He said one of these words. So two of the people are narrating by meaning, and one of the person is narrating verbatim. Or they're all three narrating by meaning, and we don't know verbatim what was said. To narrate by meaning, you have to know the difference in the words. This is where it becomes problematic. Before, qabl, what's that mean? Prior. It's easy. He knows the difference. Along, what's that mean? There was nothing with him. What's that mean?
Is it ma?
Ma. Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'in qabla. Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'in ma. With. What's with me? Together at the same time, right? Together. And there was nothing besides. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْءٍ غَيْرُ. Other than. It was him and nothing else besides him. Other than him. Y'all know the difference in the meanings? You just said them.
There was nothing with him. He was by himself.
He was by himself.
Before, with.
And besides.
Yeah. So before is before.
Before is before.
But
With is with, and besides is beside. The point is that you're on the right track. The point is that do you understand the difference? Do you understand each of those words?
Yeah.
And do you understand the difference in the meanings? Yeah, I can say I came before you, and I know what that means. I came with you, and I know what that means. And I came, and besides me, nobody else came. I understand those meanings. I can use those words and I can interchange them, and I know how to apply them. And I have to know the different meanings of the words. And I have to make sure that when I change the words, that I'm not changing the meaning in a way that affects the hadith. And this is where it becomes problematic. Because one, no two words mean the exact same thing. This is a principle. And this is an usuli principle. There's going to be some disagreement in it, but the stronger opinion is no two words mean exactly the same thing. Whether it's the same language or a different language. No two words mean exactly the same thing. Right? And this is important. Right? Because when we start talking about things, I'm off topic. I'm so off topic. But when I was just recently going over something, and this is the issue. One of our Mashayikh, rahimahullah, Sheikh Falah, he used to not like to use the word in English slave for the word abd. Right? This is a popular opinion of his that has become extremely popular amongst certain brothers. You can't refer to the Prophet as the slave of Allah. I'm not going to get into that conversation, but the point of it is that no two words mean exactly the same thing. You have to know the difference. What does the word slave mean? Where did it come from? What's its foundation? Is a slave and a servant the same thing? And is a slave, a servant, and a worshiper the same thing? And which one of those things is closest to the meaning of abd in Arabic? What's the difference in Arabic between an abd and a raqiq and a mamluk? You see what I'm saying? Because these are different words. And so when you start understanding this principle that no two words mean the same thing, the way these hands line up perfectly, mutabaqa, now you run into a problem with narrating hadith by meaning because none of the words you alternate mean exactly the same thing. And so if you knew the differences between the words, why don't you just narrate it with the word that it came with? But people make mistakes, people forget. And so it's a conditionment to say, one, you understood the gist of the hadith. And you're narrating in a way that's not going to change the meaning. But what you'll find is that a lot of times the meaning gets changed whether you wanted to or not. That hadith that we mentioned, there was Allah wa lam yakun shay'in qabla. Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'in ghayra. Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'in ma. Or ghayra, no. Is there a big difference in that? For the point of the hadith, it's not a big difference. وَكَانَ عَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. And then Allah created the skies and the earth, right? Showing us that Allah is what? What's the point of the hadith? That Allah is before the skies and the earth. So if you narrated either one of those, and by the way, the one in Muslim, and I mentioned Muslim because Muslim usually has the best what? The best wording. كَانَ اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْءٍ مَعَهُ. There was Allah and there was nothing else with him. That means that what? What does that mean?
Could mean that's before as well.
Could mean before. Well, we know he's huwa awwal wal akhir, but we didn't get there. What does this word mean? There was Allah and there was nothing else with him. What's that mean?
Created by himself.
He was there
when nothing was there.
and nothing else was there. That means at some point there was nothing but Allah. Cool? That's what you believe? Is that what you believe?
What was the question?
There was
there and there was nothing there.
There at some point, I can't even say time, can Allah, and there was Allah and there was nothing else besides him. Is that what you believe?
But isn't Allah always creating?
Is that what you believe?
At some point.
There was Allah and nothing else. Plain. That's what the hadith says. But we already know that this hadith doesn't say all three of those things. It has to be one of those things. Some people say, well, the two versions, there was Allah and there was nothing with him, and there was nothing besides him, they both mean the same thing. There was Allah and there was nothing else. And after that moment, Allah created. And so there was Allah and nothing else, and then Allah created. Right? As far as the statement, there was Allah and there was nothing before him, does that negate Allah being there at a time or a moment or a place where he created something else besides himself? It's hard. I don't want to say it again. If you don't get this conversation, just put your fingers in here. This is not a conversation like I'm talking to y'all, but it's a hard conversation to have. Anyway, there was Allah and there was nothing else with him. There was nothing else besides him. There was nothing else before him. Right? If you say with him, that means that there was Allah and nothing else. If you say besides him, that means that there was Allah and nothing else. If you say before him, that means that there was Allah, but there was nothing before him. Was there something else there at that moment when Allah was there? Yeah. But was there anything that was before Allah? No. What about that moment before? Who was there? Allah. But at that moment before, was Allah by himself? No. There was something else there. But before that moment, who was there? Allah. And at that moment when Allah was there before, was there something else? Yeah. But before that moment when there was something else, who was there? Allah. And at that moment when Allah was there before that moment, was there anything else besides Allah? Yeah. But who was there before that thing? Allah. So it changes the meaning in Aqidah. This hadith ain't really have nothing to do with Aqidah.
I see what you're saying.
But that subtle change makes a big difference to where we come to a big Aqidah issue, which is the issue of, and that's why I shouldn't have talked about this, but we're here now. I should have said no. Tasalsulul hawadith fil madi. The continuous creating of Allah in the past. Allah has constantly been creating since ever. There is not a moment except that Allah created something in that moment. And before that moment, who was there? Allah. But in that moment before, when Allah was there, what was Allah doing in that moment? Creating. And before that moment, who was there? Allah. And in that moment before, when Allah was there, what was Allah doing in that moment? Creating. But before that moment, who was there? Allah. Even the people of the people of Batil, of falsehood, the Jahmiyyah, they say that Allah was there by himself and he was unable to create. Allah was there by himself and he was unable to create. And then something happened and he became able to create. We say, what happened? They say something was nothing. It's literally what they say, something was nothing. بغير مرجح. It's just one moment he wasn't, one moment he was. But nothing happened, because if something happened, there would have been something else. And that something else would have been along with Allah, and there can be nothing along with Allah. And so they say something happened, but nothing happened.
That's dumb.
It's very dumb. But that's the people of innovation. They say Allah was there, and then he created. The people of the Sunnah classically, during the time of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, Atba' Tabi'een, they held the view that Allah has always been and will always be, but having always been, he's always been doing. And since he's always been doing, he's always been creating. And so he was creating, and every creation has a beginning. You got a beginning? Who was there before you? Allah. And who was there before her? Right? Every creation has a creation before it, just as it has a creation after it. But before all of that was Allah. Nothing is before him. But how long has Allah been? Always, since ever. And what has he been doing since ever? Creating. So there is no known first creation. We don't know what Allah created first, because Allah has been doing what? He's always been creating. And whatever you can think of, there was something he created before it.
It would end, and then he would create something else.
It didn't have to end. It's just that after it, he would create something else. Just like in Jannah, at the end, what's he always going to be doing? Every time you bite a fruit in paradise, what happens? A new one. How did the new one get there? Allah created it. And you bite it again, what happens?
So this hadith makes sense now.
Allah creates it. And then Allah keeps creating forever. The people of falsehood say, no, paradise is going to stop. Because the same way it can't go on forever in the past, it can't go on forever in the future. Because Allah has to be by himself at some time. And then some of them say, no, it can go on forever in the future, but can't go on forever in the past. But the people of the Sunnah, the majority of us, we say, no, it can go on forever in the past and can go on forever in the future. Some of the people of the Sunnah, they say no. Allah hasn't always been creating, because the hadith, there was Allah and there was nothing else with him. So that shows that there was a moment when there was Allah and nothing else with him. But Ibn Taymiyyah, he responds to this by saying that hadith, the person narrated by meaning. And how do we know he narrated it by meaning? Because this event has 3 different versions, and only one of them can be correct. How do we figure out which one is correct?
Check the one in Muslim.
Huh?
The one in Muslim you said has the best wording?
No, the one in Muslim says with. That's the one that the other people in the Sunnah, like Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah, that's the one that he uses. This is the most authentic version. We're going to use this one. Ibn Taymiyyah says the way you figure out which one is correct is by looking at the other text. Which one has support from somewhere else? Can you find any other text that says there was Allah and nothing else with him? Can you find any other text that says there was Allah and nothing else besides him? Can you find any other text that says that there was Allah and there was nothing else before him? What you find? هو الأول الذي ليس قبلك شيء. The Prophet ﷺ explained this dua, أنت الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. He said, أنت الأول الذي ليس قبلك شيء. You're the first, the one who there's nothing before you. So the correct wordage of this hadith would be what? There was Allah and there was nothing before him. And there's nothing before Allah. Every creation every individually created thing has a beginning. Has there been anything besides Allah that has always been there? No. But Allah, having always been there, has always been doing what? Creating. If this is hard to understand, every moment you can think about. I want your mind to go as far back as you can think. You there? You're at that moment? What was before that moment? Huh? What was before that moment? Besides Allah.
Something was worded.
What? What was before that moment? What? Tell me what?
Moment.
A moment. But as far back as you can think, that the first moment you can think of, what was before that moment? Another moment. Is time a creation? Who created time? That earliest moment in time you can think of, what was before it? What was before it? A moment in time. Who created that moment in time? And that moment before that moment? طيب. Where does Allah create? Does Allah create in himself? Huh? You have to know this. Does Allah create in himself? No. Because Allah is not a place where creation occurs. So where does Allah create?
Outside of himself.
Outside of himself. Everything besides Allah is what? Creation. So that place that Allah created the earth was what? Created. And that place where Allah created the place that He created the earth was what? Right. Do you need to spend all day figuring this stuff out? Just know that. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَيْءٍ. Every day Allah is doing something. When did the day start? He created the sun and the moon in what? Fi sittati ayyam, but there was no sun and moon. So there was something else to measure what? To measure time. The point of it is that when you understand this concept, and we're very off topic, but when you understand this concept, you understand somebody like Einstein. What's the thing that made Einstein the genius of our generation? Huh? Not that he had a gin, right? What was the thing that made him the genius of our generation, quote unquote, right? He didn't figure it out. That was a big one. Relativity, which was based on what? Space-time. Space-time. This is a big thing. What is it? What is that made out of? Space and time. Two of the most difficult creations to understand. Space-time. Because time, Allah has constantly been doing what? Constantly been created. And space, Allah is doing what? He's constantly been creating it. And so the point of it is that hadith, even though you understand it and you didn't change the meaning per se, in another point, that changed meaning will become something you need to understand. All that to say, don't worry about it, you didn't understand it. All of that to say, when it comes to narrating hadith by meaning, you have to know the word, know the differences between the words, and make sure that you're narrating in a way that doesn't change the meaning. In the version that we have in the riwayah of Abu Mus'ab, he says, إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرْ فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. That's all he says. When it's hot, delay the salah. In the riwayah of Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, he says, إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرْ. When it's extremely hot, then أَبْرِدُوا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. Any difference? We didn't get to the part of Jahannam. We're on this first part. إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرْ. When it is hot, then wait to the cool time for salah. And in the other version it says إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرْ. When it is extremely hot, then wait for the cool time for salah. Is there any difference? Huh? Kind of saying the same thing? Same thing? Same thing?
There's a difference.
What's the difference?
I know there's a difference. I don't know.
Why you know there's a difference?
One is more severe than the other.
Thank you. The word is literally right there. إِذَا اشْتَدَّ الْحَرْ. When it's really hot. While the other one says when it's hot. Is there a difference? You see what I'm saying? When it's really hot versus when it's hot. Does that change the meaning? It changes the meaning to me. And we're going to see this when we talk about the issues in the narration. So I want you to pay attention to that. In that version, you have when it is hot.
It's always hot.
No, it's not always hot.
Summertime is hot.
Summertime, it could be hot often.
Every time.
That's what I'm saying. When it's really hot or when it's hot. Now you have a difference. You see what I'm saying? It makes a difference in how you understand this hadith. And it's going to play into how we apply this hadith. When it's hot or when it's really hot. How do I know when it's really hot?
When it ruins things, you said.
When it ruins things. You see what I'm saying? all of this information puts stuff together. It starts clicking like, okay, I know what he meant. His word, though, you can't take his word. Because I know what he meant. He said when it's hot, but he couldn't have meant when it's hot. Right? He had to mean when it's really hot. Well, how can you just say that he had to mean when it's really hot? Well, let's look at the other versions. They all said when it's really hot. Either اشتد الحر, right? So I can't just use heat and this is going to play an issue. What's the reason that I delay? We'll see. طيب فإذا اشتد الحر أو إذا كان الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة فإن شدة الحر, because the severe heat is from the fayh of Jahannam. Not all heat, just the severe heat. وذكر أن النار اشتكت إلى ربها فأذن لها في كل عام بنفسين, نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف. We already talked about that. طيب, the next narration, and after this narration we'll talk about the masail. The next narration, he says, Abu Mus'ab حدثنا مالك عن أبي الزناد. Abu Zinad, Abdullah ibn Dhakwan. Abu Zinad, Abdullah ibn Dhakwan. I almost want to read his biography, just because of some of the benefits in it, but we won't do it today. Huh?
Is that Al-Zayyat?
Az-Zayyat?
Zayyat, like the one that dealt with oil?
لا, that's Az-Zayyat.
Al-Zayyat.
That's Hamza ibn Khalaf Az-Zayyat. I mean,
I thought it was Dhakwan. Al-Zayyat.
Huh? No, that's Dhakwan. That's different. This is Abdullah ibn Dhakwan. Abu Zinad. You're talking about Az-Zayyat, Dhakwan. No. As-Samman, Abu Salih, As-Samman, Dhakwan. Dhakwan, Abu Salih, Az-Zayyat. That's what you're talking about. Abu Salih, Dhakwan, Az-Zayyat. Yes, from the Tulab of Abi Hurairah. Right? As far as Abu Zinad, no, he's from the Atba' al-Tabi'in. Or Sigar al-Tabi'in. Sigar al-Tabi'in or Atba' al-Tabi'in. Abu Zinad, Abdullah ibn Dhakwan, he was the freed slave of I can't remember who now, but they say that his father Dhakwan was the brother of Abu Lu'lu'. Who was Abu Lu'lu'? The one who killed Umar.
Oh, really? Okay.
Abu Lu'lu' al-Majusi. Dhakwan was his brother. Abdullah bin Dhakwan was his nephew. So let's think about this family. You got Abu Lu'lu', the one who kills Umar, and then you got Abdullah bin Dhakwan, scholar of hadith, the Qadi of Medina. Qadi of Medina. وَمِنْ أَعْلَمِ النَّاسِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. Right? Did we hold people accountable for what their relatives did?
So that was his brother?
His uncle. Abu Zinad, Abu Lu'lu' was his uncle.
Ah, okay.
Right? Just think about that reality right there. When you want to dislike somebody from where they came from, or what their grandfather did, or what their cousin did. Abu Lu'lu' kills Umar. What year does he kill Umar? 23. He kills Umar 23. Umar died in the year 23. Right? Abu Zinad, what year does he die? Abu Zinad al-Madani, he died. He's from the Sigar al-Tabi'in, or Kibar al-Atba' al-Tabi'in. He died, now I can't remember. I want to say 136. Where is it at? Abu Zinad, Abdullah bin Dhakwan, Abu Abdurrahman. He was born 65. He died in the year 130. He died in the year 130. He was born 60. So he was born like 40 years after Umar was killed. Right? So this person, his father must have been a younger brother of Abu Lu'lu'. Right? And nobody held him account. He became the judge of Medina and the most knowledgeable person in Medina during his time. Abu Zinad was from the most knowledgeable people in Medina. Mawlid Ramla bint Shayba bint Rabi'a, that's who he was. The wife of Uthman. Uthman's wife is the one who freed his father. Right? Ramla bint Shayba ibn Rabi'a And Shayba ibn Rabi'ah was the one who died in Badr, him and his brother Amr ibn Rabi'ah. The two of them that were there when the Prophet escaped from Ta'if, and they brought him the grapes, or they had the grapes brought to him, and the slave boy accepted Islam, right? How would you know about Yunus ibn Metta, right? You know that hadith? That slave belonged to Shayba and Amr ibn al-Rabi'ah. And they are two of the leaders of Quraysh who died in Badr. Amr ibn Rabi'ah, the one who tried to convince Quraysh to return, but then when Abu Jahl called him a coward, he said, I'm going to show you who the coward is. And he went to fight and he died. Right? The point of it is that their daughter Ramla, or his daughter Shayba's daughter Ramla, married Uthman. And she freed Dhakwan, who was the father of Abdullah bin Dhakwan. Dhakwan being the brother of Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi, who killed Umar. I mean, come on, man. Right? When you start reading the biographies and getting these personalities, it's like a big soap opera. Right? So for anybody who wants to watch the stories and the soap opera, just read the stories of the Sahaba. Right? Just read the stories of the Sahaba. It's better for you. The point is, he was freed by the wife of Uthman, or some of them say the son of Uthman. So he had a relationship with the family of Uthman, right? He used to not like the kunya. This is something that happens often. He used to not like people calling him Abu Zinad. His kunya was Abu Abdurrahman. Don't call me Abu Zinad. Huh? He didn't like it. That's not my kunya. Right? And if he's not the only person who was like that. You guys ever heard of Ibn Mulaqin? Ibn Mulaqin was a teacher of Ibn Hajar. He wrote an explanation of Sahih Bukhari before him. Major scholar in Shafi'i fiqh, in hadith. His mother's husband was Mulaqin, but that wasn't his dad. But everybody used to call him Ibn Mulaqin. He used to hate it. Don't call me Ibn Mulaqin. That's not my name. But everybody still called him that. Abu Zinad. We still call him what? He don't like being called Abu Zinad. We still call him what? Is that backbiting?
Yes.
It is? So you mean to tell me all of these scholars and all of these people in Islam from then until now have been backbiting Abu Zinad?
Well, yeah, that's not what he wants to be called.
Maybe it's a dhulm.
Is it dhulm? You mean to just tell me that all the scholars in Islam and all the people in Islam from then until now have been oppressing Abu Zinad?
Yeah, he's not wanting to be called that.
He didn't want to be called Abu Zinad. He used to get mad about it. He used to get angry about it.
Even worse, he gets mad about it.
He get angry, but don't call me that. My name is Abu Abdurrahman.
If I called you something, and then you wouldn't like it.
What'd you call me?
Something you don't like.
Tell me.
What you don't like.
Tell me.
I ain't gonna say.
The big one. Abdul Hakim. You got the skinny one and the big one.
The big one, yeah.
Fatty. Chubby. Right?
Right. Somebody call you fat, you're probably not gonna like it.
Probably don't call me that. Right?
Exactly, yeah. And imagine if I spread it all across.
And I spread it across the world. I go to Kuwait. I go to Saudi Abdul Hakim. The fat one.
Yeah, you know the fat.
The fat one.
Stuff
with all your father.
That's
What if
backbiting.
it's benefit? What if it's a benefit?
It's not a benefit. You just call me fat in front of the scholar.
Information that you're giving out.
That's backbiting.
Off topic. Our Sheikh Abdullah Sharika. Last time he came to the States, we went up to visit him in Jersey. And we were translating for him. And you know, like as a translator, you don't know where you're going to go. You just translate. Like you kind of get in the zone. You're not even listening to the duddles no more. You just focus on translating. And so the Sheikh, mashallah, he knows how to speak for a translator. Some people don't know how to talk for a translator. Right? Some people, they just go and go and go. While some people, they know how to keep their expression short enough for the translator to where it's like you're almost hearing both languages at the same time. Because he's speaking short enough and a good translator's translation close enough to where it's like it's no separation. If you're just listening, you can't even tell where one is. So he's like, when I first met Abdul Hakim in Kuwait, he was skinny and I was big. And then when I came and visited in Colorado, he was bigger and I was smaller. And now, here, I'm skinny. And he's... Allah musta'an. So the point of it is, you call me fat in front of the sheikh, in front of all the people. Backbiting?
And spread it. Yeah.
You spread it. Everybody knows me as Abdul Hakim Fatty.
Yeah.
Al-Kabir.
Yes.
As-Samin. Right? In English, it doesn't sound the same. But you call him As-Samin.
Yeah.
Al-Kabir. Right? Al-Bati. The slow one. Because he's so big, he can't walk fast. Right? Al-Kasal. Al-Kaslan.
Kessel even as
حدثنا الكسل.
bro.
Subhanallah, astaghfirullah. So you're backbiting me, right?
Of course.
Of course. You're oppressing me, right?
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean?
ولا تنابزوا بالله آية يا أخي. الغيبة ليس بغيبة في ستة. Backbiting is not backbiting in six circumstances. And from those circumstances is to define the identity, to identify somebody, to separate them from others. You find more than often, the people of hadith have bad nicknames. Al-A'raj. What's that mean? Cripple. All right, who narrated to you? Al-A'raj. The cripple one. Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Al-Darir. Who'd you get that hadith from? Al-Darir. The blind guy. Oh, okay, I know you got that hadith from. Abu Zinad.
What's that mean anyway?
A zend is tough for me to, it's like a stick that's used to make a fire or a rock or something like that. I don't understand particularly why he disliked it, because I don't understand how to use it in a way that's like, but I don't know if it was his profession or if it was something that he did or something that he was equated to. Was he skinny as a stick? Was he black as a stick? I don't know. You see what I'm saying? But Abu Zinad, right? Like Abu Turab. The Prophet ﷺ gave Ali the nickname what? Abu Turab. But Ali loved it because the Prophet gave it to him.
That's different. Yeah.
Why is it different? If I say, what's up, Dirty?
Yeah, but you ain't the Prophet.
I ain't the Prophet. But the point of it is that so often you find that when it comes to identifying people, these names stick. And it's not from backbiting. It's not from oppression, because it's become an identifier, right? So you might not call me that to my name, but if you go somewhere, I'm trying to think of who we know, and I say Muhammad said,
Right.
who am I talking about?
It's a lot of people.
In this masjid, I say Muhammad said. Afghani?
The one in the class we were talking about?
I didn't say in the class, I said Muhammad said. Now you need to know what I'm talking about.
Sudani or
The black one.
he's black?
So who am I talking about?
You don't know.
Muhammad Sudani now, most likely. Because I know Muhammad Abu Hafs is not what? He's not black. If I said Muhammad, the nice looking one, the friendly one, the good guy, the nice guy.
Afghani,
You don't know. They both nice, good looking, handsome young men. How do I know the difference between this one and that one? The light skinned one. The dark skinned one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what? The tall one, the short one, the fat one, the skinny one. Right? The blind one, the crippled one. Right? The one who sells oil. The broke one. Al-Faqir, al-Miskeen. Right? The one who ain't got no money. The one who just got fired. You see what I'm saying? And so it's not from backbiting to the extent that it's from identifying. So Abu Zinad, he didn't used to like to be called Abu Zinad, but everybody called him Abu Zinad because what? That's how we know you. You see what I'm saying? If I start saying Abu Abdurrahman, yeah, tell me Abu Abdurrahman's there. Is it Abu Salama? Because he's Abu Abdurrahman also. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. We just call him Abu Zinad. Ibn Mulakkin. He don't like it. We call you Ibn Mulakkin. Every book that you buy by Ibn Mulakkin is going to say what on the cover? Alifahu Ibn Mulakkin. Because otherwise, I put his name on it. You don't know who he is. And so backbiting is not backbiting in 6 circumstances. One of them is identifying. Abu Zinad, I'm trying to think, was it Shu'bah? Now, Shu'bah, this is where it gets good. Shu'bah said about him that he was Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith. You guys know the levels of a person of hadith, right? What's the first level? Mushrik.
مجتهد.
La. Mujtahid is in fiqh. We talk about hadith. Musnid. Right now, all of us, what we're working on is being musnid. I know a hadith and I know the chain. Right? I know a hadith, I know the chain. What's that make you? Musnid. If you know a bunch of hadith with a bunch of chains, you don't understand, you don't know the people, you just know the hadith and the chain. قال أبو موسى حدثنا مالك عن ابن زناد عن أبو الزناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه. مسند. إن شدة الحر من فيه جهنم في شدة الحر فأبردوا على الصلاة. Musnid, right? That's all you are. You just know the hadith of the chain. Doesn't mean you have knowledge, doesn't mean you're a scholar, it just means you know the hadith with the chain. Above a musnid is a muhaddith. Muhaddith. A muhaddith, there's different definitions about what qualifies somebody to be considered a muhaddith. And different people say different things. Some people say it depends on the time, right? Every generation has a different definition, right? A muhaddith nowadays isn't as hard as being a muhaddith during the time of the tabi'een. Other people say, no, a muhaddith is when what you know more than you don't. So the ruling can be for the majority. If you know more about hadith than you don't know about hadith, you're a what? Muhaddith. Because we'll give the hukm lil-ghalib, right? You're 51% knowledgeable about hadith and 49% ignorant, muhaddith. All right? Because you know more than you don't. As-Subki had a good statement. You can find it in the beginning of Tadrib al-Rawi, any of the books that talk about the science of hadith. He says that there are people nowadays that the extent of their scholarship is that they've read the 6 books with understanding, right? When they say read the 6 books, they don't just mean read the 6 books. I mean, they have a comprehension of the 6 books, right? They can read the Kutub al-Sitta and understand it and be proficient in the 6 books. Explanation, comprehension. I'm good with the 6 books. You give me the 6 books, I'm good with it. Go ahead, let's go. Doubles, open up. Right, to do the Muwatta, I got to review, I got to research, I got to study, I got to go back, I got to go forward, I got to write my notes, right? I'm nowhere near that. As Subki said, from the people nowadays, or those who the extent of their scholarship is, they're familiar with the 6 books. How would you feel if you knew 6 Kutub al-Sitta? You knew them, like you was good with them. You know the hadith in them, you can explain them, you can point them out, you can teach them, things like that. You're a scholar? You a scholar? You don't think you're a scholar? You got Kutub al-Sitta? You don't think you're a scholar? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I know you want to say it now, but I don't believe it. I think if you had all Kutub al-Sitta and you was competent with Kutub al-Sitta, you would feel you was a scholar.
Oh, if I were you, saying I'm not competent on it.
I'm saying if you had Kutub al-Sitta.
If I had it,
yeah.
And I knew everything.
Not everything, but you knew. You was good with Kutub. If I gave you Kutub al-Sitta, you could go Bismillah, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so this hadith, yeah, Bukhari. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're familiar with Kutub al-Sitta. You can find the hadith in it. You can explain the hadith in it. You know the identities of a lot of the people. You can talk about Kutub al-Sitta. Right. Scholar? Yeah. We would think that person's a scholar. Listen to what a Subki says. From the people of our time, Subki was a contemporary of Ibn Taymiyyah. From the people, a student of al-Dhahabi. From the people of our time, and his father was a scholar as well. From the people of our time are those that the extent of their knowledge is Kutub al-Sitta. And if they add to that the Muqaddimah of Ibn Salah and the science of hadith, it's yelled out Bukhari al-Asr. This is the Bukhari of today. He says, Wallahi, if they were to take all of that and add to it the Musnad of Imam Ahmed, the Muwatta, the Sunan of al-Darimi, the Ma'ajim al-Thalath al-Tabarani, Shu'ab al-Iman al-Bayhaqi, Sunan al-Kubra al-Bayhaqi, and other than them, like al-Mustadrak and things like this, they would just be reaching the early stages of being a muhaddith. Right?
I thought you said 51%. That's definitely more.
I said there's disagreement. And so that's why some people say, you know what, 51%. Because for them, it's different than us. You see what I'm saying? And you can be a mujtahid with less than that. You can be a mujtahid with less than that. But we talk about a scholar of hadith. Right? Because to be a scholar of hadith, you need to know what's going on with all these hadith.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so There's a lot of different, but that's the second level, Musnad. Third level, Hafiz, like Ibn Hajar, like in Nawawi. They call this type of scholar of hadith a Hafiz, right? A Hafiz, there's different definitions of it. What makes you a Hafiz? How many hadith do you have to memorize before we can call you a Hafiz? Is it 20,000? Is it 30,000? Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? Right? The definition that I like.
And this is with understanding.
Yes, because the only one who doesn't require understanding. Now, when we say understanding, we talk about basic understanding. Right? We're not talking about necessarily fiqh and all of that. We're talking about understanding of what's the hadith.
Yeah,
the hadith.
You don't know how to use it.
Yeah, riwayatan. Ilm al-hadith riwayatan. A hafiz, the definition that I lean to is when what you don't know, when you know, how to word it?
You know more than you don't.
No, that was muhaddith. You know more than you don't. A hafiz is nothing escapes you from any topic except a little bit. Meaning, as it relates to any and every hadith, only maybe you don't know a little bit, right? I can drop you on any hadith, any chapter, any book, and maybe what you don't know about it is just a little bit. That's a hafiz. You look at somebody like Ibn Hajar, like in Nawawi, like when you hear them talk and you see them write and explain, it's like, man, how many books did they cover to get this information, right? Can you get any better than that? Today? I don't know. In general? I don't know. Yes and no. Time periods. You look at the time periods. It was harder back then, but there were more of them back then. It's easier today, and it's less of us now. Above a hafiz is a term that's for a select few. And that's Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Khalifa of hadith. Right? Amir al-Mu'mineen is a term for the Khalifa. Like Sufyan al-Thawri, Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. Shu'bah, Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. Bukhari, Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. Bukhari didn't know nothing, meaning didn't not know nothing. Right? I mean, Bukhari knew everything. Right? Sufyan al-Thawri, he knew everything. Right? Shu'bah, he knew everything. And Shu'bah said about Abu Zinad, Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. That's not alike, because Shu'bah is the father of Jarh and Ta'dil. Right? We know our Shaykh Rabi' Hafidhullah is often said about him, he's the carrier of the banner of Jarh and Ta'dil, right? The Shu'bah. He's the father of Jarh and Ta'dil. He's the one who introduced it, right? Everybody's iyal on Shu'bah and Jarh and Ta'dil. And he said about this individual, Abu Zinad, Abdullah bin Dhakwan, is he what? Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. You can't beat him. Abu Zinad was the judge of Medina and from the most prominent people in Medina. His halaqah used to have 300, 400 people in imamas. What's that mean? Kana fi darsihi 400 mu'ammam. He had about 300, 400 people who wore imamas. What's that mean?
Maybe those are all students.
No.
Those are all scholars?
Yes. Right, you got the imam on, you got you know, like, they still do this to this day. Like, when you graduate, they give you the, like, nowadays, instead of what they give you the cap and gown. Right, when you graduate college, they give you that cap and gown. Right, back then, how I know you was a common, you wore that imam. Right, he's mu'ammam. Right, even the Shiite, they still do it today, right? He's imam mu'ammam, right? Said 300, 400 people and imamas in his dars. Right, so he's the man. Until Rabi'a came. Rabi'a ibn Abi Abdurrahman, Faruq, Rabi'at al-Ra'i, the teacher of Imam Malik. Abu Zinad was the teacher of Imam Malik too. Contemporaries, classmate, right there in the same locations. Abu Zinad is what? Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. And Rabi'a is who? Rabi'at al-Ra'i, fiqh. Right? Even though they used to say about Rabi'a, y'all call him Rabi'at al-Ra'i. I didn't know nobody better in hadith than him. Right? But without a doubt, they asked Imam Ahmed, who was better? He said, nah, Abu Zinad was better than Rabi'a. Okay. But when Rabi'a, because Rabi'a, he wasn't always teaching, right? He used to be just involved in worship. And then when he got into teaching, all of the people left Abu Zinad and went to Rabi'a.
Well, that's easy. They got somebody new.
Not just somebody new. What was Rabi'a teaching? Fiqh. You find this to be the case, right? Students, that's interesting. And Rabi'a is saying things that ain't nobody else saying. You see what I'm saying? It's not just read the hadith. قال البخاري رحمه الله تعالى. Like, he's talking, he's teaching, he's thinking, you see what I'm saying? So the students are naturally inclined to something like that. So they left Abu Zinad. Sad. Abu Zinad, they left him. To the extent that Abu Hanifa, he came to Medina. And he went to Abi Zinad. He said, what's wrong with everybody with Rabi'ah? Abu Zinad, he said to him, Wayhak, what's wrong with you? Don't you know a handful of luck is better than a bucket of knowledge? A handful of luck is better than a bucket of knowledge. What's that mean? What's Abu Zinad doing?
Just saying the narration.
He kind of hating. Handful of luck is better than a bucket of knowledge. I got knowledge. He ain't got nothing.
Oh, that's what you meant.
And Abu Zinad wajida fi nafsihi min Rabi'ah. Abu Zinad, he used to find in himself against Rabi'ah. Jealousy, envy, and animosity, enmity. This is something that's known until Abu Zinad was the cause of Rabi'ah getting flogged and dragged in the streets. Scholar, Abu Zinad, Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith, Rabi'ah al-Ra'i, Imam min ulama al-Dahr. He's the cause of him getting dragged and flogged in the streets. Right? What's the cause? What's the reason? Maybe it's jealousy. Does it happen to people? Because he was a scholar, it can't happen to him? No, it can still happen. That's why we need to protect ourselves. And that's why we have to look at what goes on between people with this insight. Jealousy can happen among scholars. That's why they had a statement, Kalam al-Aqran yutwa wa la yurwa. The statement of contemporaries should be buried and not transmitted. Right? You guys know each other. You guys see each other. Y'all gonna argue one day. When you argue one day, what's gonna happen? Man, he wasn't no real student. He never used to memorize in class. He ain't about nothing. He wasn't he couldn't pronounce. He was always making mistakes in the halakha. He wasn't all right. You're gonna start talking about each other. May Allah protect you and us from it. Us and you from it. Because of that, the statements of contemporaries gets buried and doesn't get transmitted. You look at other people, right? So Abu Zinad was the cause of Rabi'ah getting flogged and beaten. Remember, he was one of the judges. He had authority in Medina. After that, governments change, leaders change, and who do you think gets prominence? Rabi'ah. His station moves up. And there was with Rabi'ah, and this is, I love this story. That's why I'm sitting here. One of the people who used to support Rabi'ah his name was al-Majishun, not the scholar Ibn al-Majishun, but another individual, Yaqub al-Majishun. He was the one who taught music to the people of Medina. He taught music to the people of Medina. But wait, Abdul Hakim, isn't music haram? Absolutely. Side benefit. Every group of people has something you don't listen to them about. Every group of people has something you don't take from them. And that is since way back then until today. I have a couple of statements. I want to read the actual statement. Abdullah ibn Mubarak. He said, don't take from the people of Kufa anything that has to deal with Roth. Anybody from Kufa, and they start talking about Prophet's family, don't listen to them. Don't take that from them. If you want to learn about how to be with the Prophet's family, you need to learn that from somebody other than the people of Kufa. Don't take Roth from the people of Kufa. And don't take anything about the sword from the people of Sham. When it comes to fighting and governments and things like that, don't learn that from the people of Sham, because they're Khawarij, right? Don't learn that from them. That's who they are. That's with them. That's inside of them, right? It might be a good scholar, but don't take that position from those people. Learn that in a different area. He used to say, and don't take Qadr from the people of Basra. You know, Al-Qadariyya, that Allah, right, is in control of area. Don't learn that from the people of Basra. Not Hassan al-Basri, not Qatada. Don't take it from the people of Basra, because they made that mistake. That's a mistake that's common amongst them. Even the good guys from amongst them, that mistake is going to be what? It might be in there. Hassan al-Basri, some people say that he had mistakes in Qadr. He says, and don't take from the people of Khurasan anything about Irja. The people of Iran and all that, don't take anything about Iman from them. Like who? Like Abu Hanifa. Don't take that from the people of Khurasan. All right, don't take that from them. And don't take from the people of Mecca anything that has to do with riba. Right? Sarf. Changing money for another. Right? Don't learn that from them. Because Ibn Abbas used to have an opinion that you could do riba al-fadl. Right? So don't learn that from them. And don't take from the people of Medina music. Because the people of Medina, they used to listen to music. It was something that was ingrained amongst them. A lot of them used to do it. Even somebody like Muhammad ibn Ishaq, they say that from the reasons that Imam Malik really disliked him is because he used to listen to music. Right? Don't take from any of these people and any of these topics. That's the statement of who? Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Imam Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, if a person was to take with every allowance, with every rukhsah that was given, so he would take with the people of Kufa's opinion in wine. The people of Kufa, they used to say it's okay to do what? It's okay to drink wine. Hamza az-Zayyat, 40 years he drank wine. The Qadi of Quran, scholar of Quran, 40 years he drank wine because he believed it was permissible. But Imam Ahmed says if you were to take from the people of Kufa in wine, or the people of Medina in music, or the people of Mecca in temporary marriages, the person would be a fasiq. If you were to take every time this scholar said this here, I'm going to take that easy, and I'm going to take this easy, and I'm going to take that easy, you'd end up being a fasiq. In Ma'mar ibn Rashid, from the scholars of Yemen, he said if a person was to take the people of Medina in music and going to the women from the back door, right? Because the people of Medina, there's some of them used to have the permission that it's permissible to do anal, right? Akramakumullah. Because Ibn Umar, some of them attributed that position to him. He says, if you were to take the position of the people of Medina as it relates to music or coming to one's wife from the back, or the people of Mecca in temporary marriages in interest or riba or sarf, or if you were to take the people of Kufa's opinion in alcohol, right? He says the person would be from the most wicked of the slaves of Allah. If you were to take everybody's allowance in all of these issues, you'd be from the... But what he's showing us is that these people, these areas, made those mistakes. A couple more statements. He says, Al-Awza'i, he said, stay away from 5 positions from the people of Iraq and 5 positions from the people of Hijaz. As far as the people of Iraq, then stay away from the permissibility of drinking alcohol and the eating at the time of Fajr in Ramadan. Right? You know that some of the people held the opinion that you can eat after sunrise in Ramadan. After Fajr in Ramadan. Right? What area of people used to really have that opinion? The people of Iraq. Right? The people of Kufa. He says, as well as there's no Jum'ah except in 7 cities. Right? Some of the people of Iraq, they used to have the position you can only pray Jum'ah in 7 major cities. Right? As well as delaying Asr until the shadow reaches 4 times. Right? Like Abu Hanifa, they had the position that Asr is really later than it should be. And running away from on the battlefield. You can't take that from them either, because the people of Iraq used to do what? They used to run away on the battle. They abandoned Hassan. Hussein, right? And they would use arguments and permissibility and excuses to justify. He says, and as far as the people of Hijaz being Mecca, Medina, Ta'if, right? Then stay away from listening to music, praying 2 salats at the same time for no reason. Right? You know that hadith about praying Dhuhr and Asr at Asr time for no reason, just to not make things. You never heard that a position before, that it's permissible every once in a while to just pray Dhuhr and Asr at the same time?
Like combining?
Combining, yeah. Even while you're not traveling, there's no rain, there's no fear. It's a hadith. But he's saying don't take that. Don't learn that from them.
Don't learn that understanding.
Right? Don't you need to learn this understanding of this hadith from a different group of people. Because if you learn it from there, what they gonna tell you? Yeah, you can combine, even while you're a resident for no purpose. Now, are we talking about if it's right or wrong? No, because if you have any of these opinions, scholars have these opinions. But the point of it is that he's proving to us that there are things that certain areas do that you got to know that, okay, that's just how that area is. He says, likewise, 1 dirham for 2 dirhams, or 1 dinar for 2 dinars, even at the same time, or going to a woman from her backside. And Awza'i, he said, no. Anyway, so the point of it is that this shows us that certain areas, they have positions that, it's you can tell, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but a benefit here, the reason I wanted to read all of that in this context, and we're going to get back to Abu Zinad, is because what's the best way to know the mistakes of the people where you're from, or the mistakes of your teacher?
By the environment?
Mm-mm. The environment, you're going to make the same mistake. How do you know the mistakes of your teacher or the mistakes of your environment? Go somewhere else. Learn from someone else. From the things that you find that a lot of students don't do, and this is from the things that makes us sad, is that they restrict knowledge to 1, 2, or 3 scholars. And so they're never able to find out where their teacher might be mistaken in something. Because if you only learn from this one individual, or only learn in this one environment, that individual or environment is going to completely be your perspective. But how do you know if your teacher made a mistake? Go see what somebody else said about it. And from the mistakes is that when, as a student, when we should be making our teachers enormous and abundant, we restrict them to like 1 or 2. Even if that 1 or 2 is the likes of Sheikh Saleh Fawzan and Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, right? You have to vary your knowledge, because everybody has statements in the majority of the West. What's our position about eating from McDonald's? The majority of the Salafis about eating from McDonald's. The majority in the West, especially east of the Mississippi. You get to California, what's the view?
They don't believe it's a Muslim country.
They don't believe it's permissible. A lot of the Salafis out there won't say it's permissible.
They don't believe it's a Christian country.
They have different reasons, but a lot of the Salafis out there will have a different view. You see what I'm saying? Right. So if I'm from St. Louis or New York or Philly or Atlanta, where that's the common position, we all go to McDonald's, we all go to KFC, right? Gelatin, things like this. And then I go to another Salafi community like in California, for example, LA, like Fareed, rahimahullah, he used to not think it's permissible. And so if I go out there and that's their view, and a lot of the ones I've met from there have had that view, I learn, okay, who's right, who's wrong, because I can look and see, well, Abdul Hakim said this, or so-and-so said this, but such and such who's also Salafi says this. You see what I'm saying? And that's across the board. And so varying your teachers helps you learn these different things. Now, so anyway, people can make mistakes. Communities can make mistakes, and it can become popular in a community. From the mistakes that were popular in Medina was music. That was something that was, you're going to find the people of Medina being a lot lenient with music. Now, Abu Zinad, he used to get angry at Rabi'ah. And one of the people who was supporting Rabi'ah was a person named al-Majishun. What's happening? Maybe personal issues attached with religious issues. right? This is what often happens in arguments. It'll be something personal, but then you'll find a way to make it religious. Look at him, hanging out with the musicians. Al-Majishun is not just anybody. He's a person who taught music in Medina. Like the first person to like make music popular in Medina is this Majishun. Who's he hanging out with? Rabi'ah. Like, do you reject a person just solely? And I'm not talking about any person. I'm talking about a good person, a righteous person. Just solely on those around him? Not all the time. Because do we reject Rabi'ah? And who used to support Rabi'ah? The Majishun, the musician of Medina. And it's known. It's not like something like Abu Zinad used to say, Mali wali Majishun. What's between him and me? Like my example is like the example of a wolf who used to terrorize, and it's a crazy example, right? He used to terrorize and eat the children and the animals of the village. That's who I was. I was the wolf who used to terrorize and eat the children and the animals of the village. Until they all got together and chased me out of town. And so I left. And they gave up except one pot maker. And so I stopped and I turned around and said to, so he stops, and this wolf that they chased out of town turns around and says to him, what's going on between me and you? The rest of the people of the town, I get. I was eating their children and their animals. But I never broke none of your pots. Why are you chasing me still? Right? I left. Why you still on my heels? I'm gone. That's the example of me and al-Majishun. I never broke none of his guitars or drums. Why does he have so much problem with me? Right? That he's making things difficult on me now after the tables had turned and Rabi'ah started getting, dominance in the city. So it's something that was known, right? They had these issues amongst themselves. Amir al-Mu'mineen al-Hadith, Rabi'ah al-Ra'i. Until the tables turned completely, and now it was time for Abu Zinad to get beat. And he was being done very bad.
What was Rabi'ah being beat for? Doesn't say.
Doesn't say. Now you say it could be jealousy, it could be, or you got music, you got you guys with you, it was times, people happen. You know what I mean? Maybe you did something I didn't like. Maybe you made a mistake. I mean, this would be the punishment, right? Like nowadays we live in an environment, like, think about it, you say something wrong in the masjid, what would I do to you? What would Umar do to you?
Say something wrong to an imam in the masjid?
No, you said something wrong in the masjid. You said you don't got to make wudu in the masjid. You don't got to pray 2 rak'ah in the masjid when you come sit down.
Yeah, we say that.
I might beat you. What would Umar do? You say something like that.
You're correct.
If I knew you was from Medina, I'd awja'tuka darban. You see what I'm saying? He used to beat people for praying at high noon. Right? We just learned that last chapter. Umar would beat people if they were praying before Dhuhr, at high noon, or after Asr.
He beat people. I don't think he beat people before Dhuhr. It was after Asr.
Can يضرب على تلك الصلاة نعم after Asr. Okay. I think there was one about high noon too, but we'll stick with after Asr. Right? Ibn al-Munkadir. So, he beating people, right? You did something. Would anybody beat us if we prayed after Asr? You come into the masjid, you see somebody praying after Asr, you gonna beat them? No. Right. But Umar might do it. That's how the environment was.
Right. Rough.
It wasn't even rough. It was religion.
No.
And a different perspective on things in life. And they could handle it, you know what I mean? And people knew who they were and knew who their value was. So if Ibn Zinad saw something he ain't like from Rabi'ah and said, you know what, I don't like what you're doing. Stop saying that. No. I believe this to be the haqq. You're going to stop saying it. And remember, Abu Zinad's in charge. He has a position of qadi. He's a judge. You're going to stop saying it. Oh, no. Okay. But then when leadership changes and a new governor comes in and appoints new people, this guy likes Rabi'ah. I like Rabi'ah. Rabi'ah's really smart. And the tables turn. This happens all the time in history. And now Abu Zinad is in the low position. And, you know, they're doing him really bad, right? They're doing him really bad because he doesn't have any supporters. All of the students left him, right? And even though he's a scholar of hadith, nobody's supporting him. And I forgot what happens, but something like really bad happened until Rabi'a had to come in himself and intercede and said no. I think like they took his house and stuff like that, and Rabi'a was like, no, just leave him alone. And then they asked Rabi'a about it, and he said that I don't like that any Muslim be punished because of me. That's a great statement from Rabi'a. The point of it, all of this is, and why I really like the story of Abu Zinad, is it just teaches you how to deal with these things. Can scholars disagree?
Yes.
Salafi, major scholars, the whole city. You see what I'm saying? Can somebody go to jail? Can somebody be whipped? Can somebody get found guilty by the Qadi and still be a scholar? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't exclude them from knowledge just because they disagreed with your teacher or they supported this position. Learn how to be balanced in these affairs. Anyway, that's the story of Abu Zinad, Abdullah bin Dhakwan, the freed slave of, we said who? The freed slave of Ramla, the family of Uthman. And we said he died in the year 130 and he was born in the year 65. As far as the hadith, we already covered the hadith. إن شدة الحر من فيه جهنم فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. طيب, really quick, and not really quick, because this hadith is easy, but there's some issues in it. So we said when we look at the masail, and this is the point, everything else was just fun time. This is the point of the hadith. When we look at the masail, what are we looking for? Like last time we talked about what, which, why, when, right? The same kind of conversation we'll have now. The first thing is, what's the ruling? What's the ruling that Imam Malik wanted us to understand?
The prohibition.
And nahi. Nahi is the ruling. Right? Not karaha. Nahi. That's before we get into tahrim or karaha. Nahi. So, when it comes to the ruling is prohibition. Prohibition from praying at al-Hajira. The first question, what is Hajira? Is it just high noon or early noon or early afternoon, or is it afternoon when it's extremely hot? This can change your opinion about the issue, right? As it relates to this issue, then there are a couple of different madhahib. Imam Malik, there's two opinions from him. One is that it is prohibited, or should we say, one is that the best time to pray is at the early time for every salat except dhuhr when it's hot. Meaning if you're asking Imam Malik, what's the best time to pray? It's at the earliest time except dhuhr, only when it's hot. So when it's cold, pray dhuhr early. Just like every other salat, but when it's hot, delay dhuhr. And this is an opinion of Imam Malik. And this opinion is reported by Abu al-Farj. Abu al-Farj Amr, one of the students of Imam Malik, he said that Imam Malik, I'm trying to remember without looking. Imam Malik التعجيل بعد الزواج بقليل عند المالكية قال ابن أبي أويس said that Imam Malik used to dislike that anybody pray at zawal time. Ibn Abi Uwais was the student, it was the nephew of Imam Malik, right? Or the nephew or the cousin? Nephew and cousin. But he used to say that Imam Malik used to say he disliked anybody praying at zawal time. And he used to say that this is the salat of the Khawarij. This is the salat of the Khawarij. To pray dhuhr early on is the salat of the Khawarij. And in another version it says, the Khawarij, they don't make it cool with the salat. Right? They don't delay the salat to be cool. And that's important because is it just that the Khawarij will pray early, and so don't be like the Khawarij and pray early, or is it praying early when it's hot? The Khawarij would pray early when it's hot. Right? They thought that was better. They thought it was more righteousness. They wouldn't want to delay the salat. تَحْخِرُونَ صَلَاتِكُمْ إِلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ. Right? That's what the Khawarij would do. You devalue your salat compared to theirs. Man, they praying when it's really hot outside. Look at that iman. But Imam Malik used to dislike that. And Abu al-Faraj, he said that Imam Malik said that the best time for every salat except dhuhr in the severe heat is in its beginning. The best time for every salat except dhuhr is in its beginning, when it's severely hot, right? Another position of Malik is that every salat is better at its beginning time, even when it's hot. Even when it's hot. That's the position of Ibn al-Qasim on Malik. And that's what a lot of the Malikiyya follow. The point of it is that there's two different opinions. All of the salat are better at its beginning time. What's the proof for that? From the Muwatta. That the best time of the salat is at the beginning, regardless of the salat.
That's beginning.
I say any salat. Any salat. I can't pray Fajr either. Zaghat al-Shams.
That's for dhuhr.
That's for dhuhr. What's the proof that any salat, the best time for it is in the beginning?
I know it's في أول وقتها should be in the hadith, correct?
إن المصلي لا يصلي. قال أبو مصعب حدثنا مالك عن يحيى بن سعيد إن المصلي لا يصلي الصلاة وما فاتت ولما فاته أعظم وأفضل له من أهله وماله. Indeed, a person will pray the salat and he hasn't missed it. But what he's missed from its time is greater or more preferable than his family and his wealth. That's in the Muwatta.
Yeah.
And that's a proof, that's an evidence, even though it's not a proof, right? But that's a proof for that opinion of the best time across the board is at its beginning. Also, the hadith of Umar, right? And صلوا الظهر إذا زاغت الشمس. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا مالك عن أبو سهيل ابن أن مالك عن عمه أبي سهيل بن مالك عن أبيه أن عمر بن الخطاب كتب إلى أبي موسى الأشعري أن صلي الظهر إذا زاغت الشمس. So when would they pray dhuhr? Right away. إذا زاغت الشمس. They're not waiting. So that's a proof to pray dhuhr in its earliest time. Play. But then we have the other opinion of Malik, which is to do what? To delay dhuhr. What's a proof to delay dhuhr? When it's hot is what we have in this chapter. But give me another proof from the Muwatta. You can look at your books. That's Abu Hurairah. No. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It ain't gonna be right away.
Yeah, they but that's at the end of the time. But we'll come to that in a second. But you're on the right track. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا هشام
عن أبيه أن عمر بن الخطاب
I'm sorry. قال أبو موسى بن حدثنا نافع. That's Abu Hurairah. النافع
مولى عبد الله بن عمر أن عمر بن الخطاب كتب إلى مالك إن أهم أمركم عندي الصلاة من حفظها وحافظ عليها حفظ دينه ومن ضيعها فهو سواها أضيع.
فهو لما سواها أضيع. ثم كتب
صلي الظهر إذا زاغت صلي الظهر إذا كان
إذا كان الفيء
ذراعا.
Umar wrote to his ummal and صلي الظهر إذا كان الفيء ذراعا. Pray dhuhr when the shadow is a cubit. That means they were what? They were waiting. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we see in the Muwatta, you got the evidence for this position of Imam Malik, and you got the evidence for this position of Imam Malik. All of this is meant to just make us understand, like, everything he's saying, it's building on each other, right? Don't pass the bab and think you're never going to come back to it. They all go together. And this is why this book is one of the foundations of Islam, because it has everybody's opinion in it. You can understand what everybody's saying based on it might not be the best hadith or the most strongest hadith. It might not even be a hadith, but it has those views in it, right? So we have one opinion of Imam Malik: pray dhuhr, pray every salah at its earliest time. Second position: pray every salah at its earliest time except dhuhr when it's hot. And that's this hadith, right? فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. This is also the position of Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa also has this position, contrary to the position of the people of Iraq. Right? A lot of the people of Iraq, along with Layth and Ash-Shafi'i, they hold the view that every salat should be prayed at its earliest time. Except that Shafi'i would make an exception if the imam is praying with a jama'at of people that have to come from far away, then he should delay until it's cool. But he made a whole bunch of exceptions. The imam praying with a bunch of people who come from far away when it's hot. Right? And if you remember what we talked about in the hadith of Umar writing to his Ummal, we said, why did he delay at that time? In the congregational masjid. Right? And so you see how that science comes together. So if you're in the congregational masjid, Shafi'i would say, no, delay so that the people can get to you when it's hot. But other than that, no, pray in the earliest time. Imam Ahmed, he would say every salat at its earliest time except dhuhr when it's hot, and except Isha. Isha, he would pray it in the last part of the first third of the night, because of the hadith of the Prophet, Inna hadha lal waqt, lawla an ashukku ala ummati. This is the time for it, if it wasn't that I was going to make things hard on my ummah. So this is what it relates to. These are the different positions as it relates to when to pray the salah. No delay, even when it's hot. Summer and winter are the same. Delay only when it's hot in the summer. Delay only when it's hot for the sake of the people that need to get to the masjid. Right? So we understand now the prohibition and how different people approach the prohibition. And we're going to talk about how can there be a disagreement if there's a hadith. Right? Because you're going to find out something important. But before we get into that, let's get into the why. Why is there a prohibition? Severity of the heat. Yeah. Okay. You got anything else? Just the severity of the heat.
And it's too bright. Maybe.
Huh?
Too bright.
Too bright, maybe. I'm asking you. This is your job. This is your exercise on thinking.
Be hot.
So the severity of the heat.
Yeah, it's a hardship.
It might fall.
Hardship. Well, that's different than severity of the heat. Severity of the heat, every severe heat is connected, but it's different. You see what I'm saying? We can say just hardship in general. So the Prophet allowed them to delay the salat for hardship in general. So that means, can I delay any salat for hardship?
Like what?
Whatever the hardship is.
Yes.
Because if your reasoning is hardship, then I can delay any salat for any hardship. That's what you're saying?
I'm saying because
that's your opinion?
Yes.
So you changed it from heat.
Well, because of the heat, that's because of the
No, that's not hardship. Hardship could be cold.
Yeah, that's true.
So is it hardship or heat?
Hardship.
Hardship.
Yes.
So that means whatever the hardship is, you believe it's okay or better to delay the salat in that circumstance.
Give me an example.
It's extremely cold.
Like
The other breath of Jahannam.
Right. So it's extremely cold.
In the winter.
In the winter time, at the time of dhuhr.
At dhuhr, should I delay? Or asr.
Oh,
If it's extremely hot at asr, should I delay it?
Maybe you should. I don't know.
I'm asking you. This is your hadith.
It's different with cold.
Why is it different? You said your reason was hardship.
Because of the heat.
No, that's heat. Heat is a type of hardship, but it's not every hardship.
Right.
So what is your reason? Is your reason every
I
hardship?
don't have a hadith talking about cold.
So you're saying the reason is heat?
The reason is heat because and it's
No, it can't be and. Because if you say it's hardship, you don't have a hadith, no problem. But that's what you're going to use to compare.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what is your reason? Is it hardship?
Because it's hard, yeah.
Okay, what do you? Now, that's fine. I'm not saying you right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
What you want?
I'll take that other opinion. It's
What?
just the heat.
Just the heat. Who said it's other opinion? This is your opinion. It's nobody else's work. This is your work. What do you believe? You read the hadith. Remember, that's the goal of what we're doing is I'm reading the hadith. I just read the hadith. Is there some words you don't understand? Is there some question that you have?
My understanding is
Yeah.
but it's the hotness.
It's just the heat.
Yeah.
The heat.
Because it's hard.
Because of the heat.
From the verbatim.
Okay, so the heat. Only the heat. So if it's hot at Asr.
If there's a hadith, yeah.
Not a hadith. You got this hadith. It's hot at Asr. It's hot at Fajr.
Usually,
Or Maghrib. Maghrib can be really hot sometimes.
Right, I would delay it.
You would delay Maghrib? You would delay Maghrib.
That's quick with Maghrib, huh?
But you got time.
You got time.
Can I see what I understood so far?
Go ahead. I'm coming to you next.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead. I said go ahead. I was coming to you. You wasn't getting left out.
I think it's the hardship from the heat at the time of Dhuhr.
Hardship from the heat at the time of Dhuhr. That's a different opinion. You got hardship, you got heat. He got hardship from the heat at the time of Dhuhr.
Yeah, so that means you can't use it for other.
You can't use it for other salah.
Yeah.
Only
That's what I was
Dhuhr.
talking about.
No. You said hardship.
Yeah, but I didn't put it like that's what
So
I
then you
meant.
didn't put it like that. You didn't say that. Is it hardship? For example, if it's really dark at Fajr, that's a hardship.
Right.
I can't make it to the masjid.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Should you delay Fajr?
Yes.
He's saying no, it's for the hardship
Yes.
of the heat at Dhuhr.
Yes, you should delay Fajr.
So your
Make
issue
it,
is hardship.
Make it easier on the people.
So your issue is not his opinion. Your opinion is hardship.
I'm gonna take that opinion too, and this opinion.
No, because you don't need his opinion because I got hardship. It covers all of that.
Okay, fine.
He got heat.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So at heat, he's like, no. If it's cool, if it's cold, I'm not looking at hardship. I'm looking at heat.
Look how early Fajr can be during summertime.
Yeah.
It can be very hard to everybody come that early.
Exactly. I'm not saying you wrong. I'm saying you have to make it. Somebody's asking you to give them an answer about the religion. You now have to give them one. You read this hadith. You read that the Prophet would delay. You also know that إن الرجل يصلي الصلاة في وقتها وما فاتته ولما فاته أعظم وأفضل من أهله وماله.
Yes.
And in spite of that, in spite of the fact that it's better, the Prophet used to pray bil ghalas. You're going to tell me to delay? Why? What gives you the right to tell me to delay?
The hardship.
Mumtaz, you say, look, I think it's a hardship. So what? Salaf got to be strong. You got to be hard.
But we got other people too.
What does that matter?
We gotta consider.
Give me a proof that I need to care about that.
The Prophet ﷺ said, "Everybody do,
Everybody do.
all of you,
Well, yeah, but that's about dhuhr.
because of the hardship."
There you go. You see how you got there eventually?
Yeah.
The Prophet said abridu with dhuhr. The reason he said abridu with dhuhr was because of the hardship. So I can take that reason and apply it to anything.
All of the
Okay.
salawat.
I can, according to him, I can take that reason and say, look, Fajr, when should I be praying Fajr? Bil ghalas. But in the summertime, Fajr is really close to Isha. Nobody's going to get enough time to sleep. It's going to be really hard. And even if the Prophet said bil ghalas, or can you salli bil ghalas, it's a mashaqqa. So the same way he considered the mashaqqa in dhuhr, even though it's a different mashaqqa, I'm going to consider the mashaqqa in Fajr. And so now we're going to pray at the end of the time. And I'm going to say that this is the best time. Not because it by itself is the best, but because of the mashaqqa makes it the best. That's your opinion. No problem. You said no. You didn't understand.
I don't understand.
What did the Prophet say in the hadith? إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرُّ. What did he say?
But it's hard.
When it's hot.
Yes.
He ain't say nothing about mashaqqa. He said what? When it's hot. Either can al-harr. Ain't that your narration?
Yes. But what happens when it's hot?
No problem. We're not arguing that a mashaqqa comes from it, but can you compare every mashaqqa to every mashaqqa? Can I combine dhuhr and asr because it's dark outside?
Dhuhr and Asr?
Yes. Can I combine Dhuhr and Asr when it's hot?
No.
But there's a mashaqqa. And I can make travel combine because there's a what? Mashaqqa. So the mashaqqa by itself isn't the argument, akhi. The issue is the Prophet, what did he say? What did he say? Either can, I'm using the other narration. Either can al-har. If it's hot.
Right.
Is it hot at 3 o'clock in the morning in Fajr?
No.
So then you can't pray it late.
Yeah. But why did
But
why did he say to cool it down?
I know, because it's a hardship. But you can't compare every hardship to a you can't compare every hardship to a hardship. Just because they're two hardships doesn't mean you can compare them. When I'm traveling, why can I shorten my prayer?
Why can't you?
Yes, when I'm traveling, why can I shorten my
You
prayer?
got the allowance.
Why? Because it's a hardship. Can I shorten my prayer at Dhuhr time when it's hot? Because you can't compare every hardship.
What didn't the Prophet combine a little bit of that?
I said, can I shorten my prayer at Dhuhr time when it's hot? Why not?
Because you're the resident.
But it's a hardship. The reason I can do it while I'm traveling is because it's a hardship. Can I compare that hardship to this hardship and say, now I can shorten my salah? No, because why can't I? Because the Prophet didn't say so. The Prophet didn't do so. You talk to me all the time about being Salafi, what the Prophet said, what the Prophet did. And now you want to tell me mashaqqa. What did the Prophet say? Either can or al-har.
This.
So that's it. When it's hot, delay.
Say cool it down.
Exactly. When what?
Cool it down.
When? When it's hot. He didn't say when it's dark, cool it down.
Right, but why did he say it?
We already answered that. So when it's hot,
why did he say
cool it down.
Yeah, but why did he say cool it down?
Because you need to get it cool from the hot. I didn't get there yet.
You ain't answer.
I got to answer, but I don't want to take his answer yet. So Amr is saying,
Okay.
no, when it's hot.
Yeah.
And the reason is what? Because it's hot.
Right.
So if it's hot at Maghrib, either can al-har fa'abridu an as-salat. What did the Prophet say? Either can al-har fa'abridu. That sentence by itself, if I take that sentence, it's hot at Maghrib. What should you say? Either can al-har fa'abridu. If it's hot at Fajr
Or Asr.
or Asr, what should I say? Either can al-har fa'abridu. Dawood says both of y'all. What's wrong with y'all?
Yeah.
Y'all been in the class for how long? Y'all memorized all these hadith. And y'all still don't think. The hardship of when it's hot at Dhuhr time. That's all. Only Dhuhr. You can't do anything else in any other salah.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's only Dhuhr.
You just added all that stuff.
Huh? I didn't add. You said mashaqqa. That was your words.
Yeah, but I meant that too.
I don't know what you meant. You said mashaqqa.
Sorry.
Y'all ain't listening.
Yeah.
إذا اشتد إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا. I give y'all an excuse though. Y'all didn't know. One of the versions of Abu Hurairah from Abi Zinad, فأبردوا عن صلاة الظهر. وتابعه صفوان وكان له الصحبة. And likewise Amr ibn Absa. And likewise Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. They added the statement and al-Dhuhr. Abridu an salat al-Dhuhr. So it's only the severe heat at salat al-Dhuhr. Because of the hardship of the severe heat at salat al-Dhuhr. Y'all with me, right? But the riwayah of Yahya ibn Yahya said either can al-har. Doesn't say nothing about severe heat. It just says either can al-har. فَأَبْرِدُوا. And a salat, general.
His riwayah is not from Yahya ibn Yahya.
That's what you say. You say his riwayah. That's what he says. His riwayah is weaker here. Type. Anybody else?
What?
What if it's...
You got another opinion?
Okay,
Yeah, I got another opinion.
there's
You got
Asr.
another-
It's
you
hotter
have
than
another
Asr.
one?
It's hotter at Asr.
Yeah.
Is it?
Asr comes, it's way hotter.
I don't know if it's way hotter.
Maybe here.
Maybe not.
Here.
Maybe not.
Sometimes.
I have my opinion.
What's your opinion?
إن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم.
Yeah.
What about?
When does that happen?
It's really
At
hot.
Dhuhr time. In the summer. That's it.
I was going to say that about how it might be wrong.
Huh? Should have said it a bit Umar.
But I didn't know if that was the specific hadith because of it.
Dhuhr time in the summer only. What if it's really hot in the winter? uncommon. No. What do you mean it can't be? You know, khaliq as-samawati wal ard now? It can get really hot in the winter. It snows in St. Louis in April and May.
Yeah, but
So if you have a day in the winter where it's extremely hot, 105 degrees, plus, does everywhere get a winter? Like we get? You see what I'm saying? So if it's wintertime and it's 110 degrees, should you delay the salat? It's dhuhr. I'm talking about dhuhr only because we got to dhuhr.
you should. Yeah.
صيف.
صيف. أذن لها بنفسين نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف.
Right.
This is only in the summer. I can't apply that to the winter, to the fall, to the spring. This is only summertime, أخي. فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. The fayh of Jahannam is only in what time?
Yeah.
So if it's extremely hot.
So you're saying because of the faith of Jahannam.
Exactly.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
Ah, okay.
The fayh of Jahannam
Right.
is the only reason that you should delay the salah. Does the fayh of Jahannam happen in the winter?
No.
Does it happen at Asr? But don't you see, and I'm not saying that's what I say, I'm just saying, don't you see how depending on what you say, we now have 4 different positions about why do we delay the salah? You see what I'm saying? We now have 4 different opinions about why to delay the salah. Is it generally hardship? And if it's generally
I
hardship,
would still take that though, hardship part.
based on this hadith,
Just the allowance.
why? We don't care about what you would do. I'm just being messing with you, but we don't care about what you would do, what the Prophet say to do. Because that's the thing. Like, remember, when we're approaching hadith, when we're approaching positions and arguments and statements, it's not about the things we learned before. Like the religion, in the deen of yusr, bu'ithtu bil hanafiyyati samha. Right? I'm looking at this hadith. Somebody's asking me for a fatwa. Abdul Hakim, can I pray Asr at 8 o'clock when it's really hot in the summertime?
No.
Why not?
Because
It's going to be between the
Huh?
shaitan.
تلك صلاة المنافقين تلك صلاة المنافقين تلك صلاة المنافقين. Right? I'm going to bring my evidence. But then somebody says, Akhi, astaghfirullah, you're going to call this the Salat al-Munafiqeen. But you were the one who told us in our dars that if a person has a reason to delay, it's okay. And the heat is a good reason to delay. Because the Prophet ﷺ said about dhuhr, abridu an as-salat. So now you're telling me that I'm a munafiq if I delay Asr because it's hot. When the Prophet said abridu an as-salat.
Yeah, that's for good.
Of course it's for dhuhr. That's what the conversation was about. Does that mean I can't compare it to Asr? I can't compare it to Isha?
That's true. Good point.
You see what I'm saying? But it's not just good point, bad point. It's about what do I believe to be the haqq. You see what I'm saying? What do I really believe is the valid opinion here? And it's not just based on I think, I feel. It's based on what text am I relying on to get to that point? Am I saying that it's okay to do because إذا كان الحر فأبرد بالصلاة. I don't care about the heat. And this is what we call about تحقيق المناط, تنقيح المناط, وتخريج البناط. When you're trying to make rulings, there's three things that happen. You have something called تحقيق المناط. Before that, you have تخريج المناط. Al-manat is the thing that the ruling is based on. Takhrij al-manat is easy. Sometimes it can be tricky. It's just simply finding why the Prophet said it. So if I look at this hadith, why did the Prophet say delay the salah? Because the heat.
Jahannam?
No. Was it because of Jahannam, or was that just information? It's a good question. Was he telling us to delay the heat because of Jahannam, or was he just telling us about Jahannam? But the reason for how do I know the reason for something? How would you say the reason for something? Delay the prayer because. So, for. إذا كان الحر, when it is hot, فأبردوا عن الصلاة. Then delay the salah. What's the reason I'm delaying the salah? Heat. فإن شدة الحر من فيه جهنم. because the severe heat is from the faith of Jahannam, right? So it could be one of these things. It could be both of these things. Severe heat because it's from Jahannam. You see what I'm saying? So there could be severe heat that's not because of Jahannam. Just be a hot day. Can I delay the salat? I think he missed. You with us? إذا كان الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة. Because the shiddat al-fay, the shiddat al-har is because of the fay of Jahannam. If it's a really hot day, but the heat is not because of the fay of Jahannam, what should I do?
Well, how do you know it's not?
Exactly. But that's the question. Is the reason that I'm delaying the salat because of the fay of Jahannam or because it's hot?
Because it's hot.
Because you could say, you don't even know if it's the fay of Jahannam today or not. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so how could he give you a ruling based on something that you can't figure out?
Right.
Was today the fay of Jahannam? Was yesterday the fay of Jahannam? But the Prophet said, when it's hot, then abridu.
Right. Exactly.
And then the statement, because the really hot times is because of the fay of Jahannam, that's just information. That's just to let you know why it's getting so hot. But that has nothing to do with the ruling, because how can you make a ruling based on something that you can't figure out? Right. You don't have a calendar that says tomorrow's the fay of Jahannam.
Right.
And so the ruling is based on what? The heat. Potentially. That's an argument that you can make. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's not just about what you think, it's about how you got there. So all of this is just to make you think about, okay, what am I going to say? Because I had the position that the best time was the earliest time. And when they had these positions, they didn't leave them because. That's the thing that separates us from them a lot of the times. We'll know something is better, but so what? Right? We'll know something is better, but so what? That's how you tell about the way we look at the sunnah. Oh, it's the sunnah. You don't have to do it. That's the way we look at things. This is better to do, but so what? Just do it this way. But when they looked at something being better, it was, how are you going to expect me to leave that now? When should I pray dhuhr? Alaykum salam. Beginning of time. Everything was at the beginning time, according to Malik. But he made an exception because of this hadith. That's the only exception. And this hadith only applies to what? At in some. That's the only time this hadith applies. And so that's the only exception I'm making.
So it's winter time and it's really, really cold.
Nope.
And dhuhr time.
Pray early.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you can't.
You got a hadith that says you should?
No.
So why am I going to do it?
What's the shita for?
Huh?
What's the shita for?
What do you mean what's the shita for? Oh, the shita is because the Fahi Jahannam. It's the nafas, the second nafas of Jahannam.
Is it the hotness or coldness?
Coldness.
Okay, but then what's the
his
point
question?
of having it in?
Oh, you answer him. Okay, yeah.
Why have it in there then?
I told you, it's just information. You going?
I see.
It's just informative. Now you know why it's really hot and why it's really cold. But why did you delay the salat? Either kana fa'abridu.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That could be. So it's all about how you. When you're reading the hadith, it's not just read it, take what the author said the chapter title is, and I'm going to apply it. Learn the skills to look at the hadith, and then you start thinking about it. You know what? I don't think mashaqqa here is good enough. You bring me another hadith about mashaqqa, I'll take it. But
took the easy one.
he was never given the choice between two things, except that he took the easy one as long as it wasn't haram.
Yes.
But then the Prophet used to pray dhuhr at the earlier time. That's the choice he made. That was the easier one.
That was easier?
When did the Prophet pray?
True, but let me ask you this then. If my ease is different to somebody else's ease...
You mean you tell me somebody got an ease that's easier than the Prophet? The Prophet took the easiest way.
No, because the Prophet... for example...
I know what you're saying. I'm just arguing with you.
The Prophet prayed subh in the ghalas.
Uh-huh.
For some people, it might be easier to delay it.
You mean to tell me that some people can do something easier than the Prophet did?
No, I'm saying it's easier for some people to delay it.
So for some people, going against the sunnah is easy.
It's still permissible.
It's permissible. We're not arguing that. We just said for some people going against the sunnah is easy. I can't argue that. Some people go against the sunnah is easy for them. Is going against the sunnah easy for you?
No.
So when you going to pray?
Whenever it's time. But I'm saying, but you see what I'm saying now?
I see what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's
somebody else's ease can be different than my ease.
Look. What does Shafi'i say?
What does he say?
I told you already. What does Shafi'i say? Pray at the beginning time unless you're the what?
Unless you're the imam.
The imam praying with a group of people who have to come to the masjid from far away at dhuhr time when it's hot. He looked at what? The condition of the people.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة
لا حول ولا قوة
حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد وصلى رضيت بالله A copy of what? That's not the book. We're going over that book. I might have a copy. I don't think I got a PDF. Yeah, I'll send you the PDF, inshallah. You ain't in the WhatsApp group? Yeah, I sent it on the WhatsApp group. But I'll check and send it again, inshallah. So, because this is only the first question, which is why. Right? We know what? What's the benefit of the scholars? Yes, what's the benefit of the scholars? Abu Hanifa said, Hum rijal wa nahnu rijal. They're men and we're men.
We can get ideas from them.
We can get ideas from them. We can see how they thought. Let's look at how the scholars thought. We said, Imam Malik said two things. Everything at the early time or everything at the early time except dhuhr when it's extremely hot in the summer. That's an opinion. Abu Hanifa, same thing. Imam al-Shafi'i, he said no, everything early time, as well as the people of Iraq and late. They all said everything early time. Except Shafi'i said, if you're the imam and the people are coming to the masjid from far away in the summertime for the heat, at dhuhr, delay. What did the Shafi'i consider? Mashaqqa. You see what I'm saying? Shafi'i is considering the hardship because he only made the allowance in that circumstance where it's going to be really hard on those people to walk from far out of town or from far the outskirts of town to the middle of town to pray when it's really hot at dhuhr time. I'm going to come to something. Because the Shafi'i, he was saying his reasoning was there was only one masjid in Medina during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And the people had to walk from far away to get to that masjid. And so that's why he would delay. And when you look at the fact that the Prophet, when he was in Salat, what would he do for dhuhr? When he's in Salat, what would he do for dhuhr? He would delay the ruku' to allow the people a chance to come up until he didn't hear footsteps anymore. You never heard of that narration? He would delay dhuhr until he stopped hearing the footsteps of the people coming. It mentions dhuhr. You see what I'm saying? He would delay dhuhr until he stopped hearing the footsteps before he would make ruku'. He would give people a chance to get into the masjid. See? So he's considering what? So we see somebody who holds this position, and I see how he got there. We see Imam Malik's position. It's clear in the hadith. فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. The people who say everything at the early time, they have to disregard this hadith. How can they disregard this hadith, though? We're going to come to that in a second. Then you got us. And I say us because this is what you look at when you're looking at, your madhab, for example. And a Hanbali. Right? A Hanbali. What did Imam Ahmed say? Everything early time, except dhuhr, when it's extremely hot in the summer. So did he apply it to every salat? He applied it to dhuhr, hot, summer.
Right.
So I see how he's understanding it. And except Isha. Right? Because Isha, you should delay it. And I said, yeah. We took all the hadith, right? We were in this circumstance, we were able to use all the hadith. Did we disregard some? The hadith that tell you to pray in the ma afdal al-a'mal as-salatu li waqtiha. Did we use that hadith? Yeah. فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنَ الصَّلَاةِ. Did we use that hadith? إِنَّهَا لَوَقْتَهَا. Did we use that hadith? إِنَّ هَذَا لَوَقْتُ. Did we use that hadith? Show me what hadith we didn't use. We were able to use all of the hadith in this issue by comparing and putting them together. You see what I'm saying? And it's just in this issue. Sometimes we'll get it wrong.
So during Shita, when it's hot, it's
Tajiyah, pray early.
It's the best time to pray because of the heat.
During the safe.
To delay it.
During the safe.
Yes.
Only the safe.
So that would be like...
That would be the best time to do it.
Now you're using these two informations.
Huh?
You're using the two informations.
Exactly. I'm using all of them. You see what I'm saying? And that's always the goal. The goal is to always use all of the hadith. I don't ever want to say the Prophet said something. Well, no. If you tell me pray everything early and the earliest time is better, what are you telling me?
Disregarding this.
Don't worry about that hadith. Like, we come to the next question. Before we come to the next question, why is this stuff relevant? Today, did we delay Dhuhr? Was it hot?
Yes.
But what do we have? AC.
No.
We have cars.
And I didn't even feel it.
We don't even feel it. We drive with the AC, hop out of the AC, hop into the car. Should we be delaying Salat? Is it the mashaqqa? Is it the heat?
But there's a hadith.
It's a hadith says to do it.
When there's a shadow, then
Huh?
pray it.
No, we're not arguing that you can pray it at that time.
So if you take hardship, then you can't be delaying it.
Exactly. Because there's no hardship. What hardship you got? Or do you say the hardship isn't based on modern technology? Like in traveling, the hardship isn't based on modern technology. If I teleport from here to Chicago, I'm still traveling.
Right.
Even if it's, right, I'm still traveling. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, you start looking at stuff like that. Like, was it the heat? Sometimes the heat might not even be that bad for what is severe heat in that area. In Alaska, what's the severe heat? In the summertime, what's the severe heat in Alaska? 80? Should they be delaying at 80? Or is it only for places that get really hot, like Mecca, Medina, which some people say it only applies to places that get really hot? Is it because of having to go to the masjid, or is it about having to pray in the heat? Yesterday, at Jumu'ah, it was hot in here. I stood up for the second rak'ah, I almost fainted. It's hot. Should we have delayed Jumu'ah? Or should we have turned the AC up? And if we can turn the AC up, do we need to delay? Because is it about being hot while you pray, or is it about being hot as you go to the prayer? Getting sweaty, getting musty. You see what I'm saying? What's the reason? All of these things are what you have to think about when you're trying to make a decision about what to do, because we live in an environment nowadays. If somebody says, should we be delaying the salat, which is what we're going to come to, فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنَ الصَّلَاةِ, for how long? How long should you be delaying to? Yeah, let's do that one now. How long should you be delaying to? Until it cools off?
You talking about like according to
إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرُّ فَأَبْرِدُوا. How long? The Prophet didn't specify how long to delay.
Whatever is necessary.
Whatever's necessary? What if it doesn't get cool till Asr?
Then pray before you do
Before the other prayer comes.
Yeah.
Until before the other prayer comes. So you're saying we can all agree to that. There's no specified time. Some people say a quarter of the time, a third of the time. Either kana shamsu dhira, thalathatu adru', 3 feet, 5 feet, 7 feet. These are all statements of some of the Salaf, right? But you guys are saying that it's the shadow, yeah. You guys are saying wait until there's no specific time, just until it gets cool, right? How do I determine cool?
Man, sometimes it gets hotter than last time, man.
And so what do I do?
So, I mean, what you gonna do?
You see what I'm saying? Here, there's no specific time, except that the majority, if not all of them, agree that you should not delay it till Asr. But that's why I was looking for that hadith that I was looking for earlier, where he delayed it till Asr. And we all came across the hadith of al-Qasim ibn Muhammad. What did he used to say?
ما أدركت الناس
إلا
إلا
يصلون
بالعشي
what?
صلاة الظهر.
يصلون الظهر بالعشي. And remember we said although ashi can mean from dhuhr until maghrib, what does ashi usually mean? Asr. A lot of times ashi is used to refer to asr time. Right? And so this is an issue where you start thinking like, okay, how long should I be delaying it to? What did Umar say to delay it to? إذا كان الفيء ذراع. What did Abu Hurairah say to delay it to? إذا كان ذلك مثلك. So he's going all the way till the end. You see what I'm saying? And you start looking at how can I use this hadith in that circumstance. Right? What's the other narration where Umar said what? إذا زاغت الشمس. Okay, that's Hisham ibn Urwa, that's Abu Salih, right? The hadith of Nafi. Nafi never met Umar. Urwa met Umar. So that one's better. You see what I'm saying? Somebody might say that. So these are all things you're looking at. How long should I be delaying it to? Am I looking at the conditions? The conditions of the masjid, the conditions of the road. Shafi'i obviously considered the what? The conditions of the road. Getting to the masjid. You see what I'm saying? Well, other people say, no, it's not about getting to the masjid. If I live next door to the masjid, what should you do? You should still what? Delay. Because it's about praying when it's hot. The Prophet said, إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرُ فَأَبْرِدُوا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. But another narration said, فَأَبْرِدُوا بِالصَّلَاةِ. What is he care about here? The prayer. Not getting to the prayer. You see what I'm saying? Play. Another question. What if I'm at home? Does this apply to the congregation or to the individual? If the delay is because of the mashaqqa, who does it apply to? The congregation. If the delay is because of the hot time of summer in the dhuhr, who could it apply to? Everyone. So if you're praying at home, the women who are praying in their house, should they be delaying the salah? Your wife comes to you and she says, Ya Habibi, this hadith says for abridu and as-salat. Why are we praying so early? What do you say?
That's for the congregation.
Why is it for the congregation? The hadith doesn't mention anything about the congregation. Or does it? You tell me. She asked you, not me.
Because there's no hardship in...
You go into heart. That's what the hadith say. Remember, read the words. Look at the words. فَإِذَا كَانَ الْحَرُ. Before that, إِذَا كَانَ الْحَرُ. أَبْرِي. Do. Who's he talking to? You. Not talking to you. Yeah. So you can say, yeah, he's talking to the jama'ah here.
No, he can say he's talking to every single person.
Or you can say that too. You can say, yeah, he's talking to every single person individually.
Yeah.
You tell me which one makes more sense.
Jama'ah.
There you go. That's what I'm gonna say. Because that makes more sense to me. That's if that makes more sense to you, that's what you say. Can you be wrong?
Yeah.
I can be wrong. But I think that this hadith, the Prophet is only talking to the congregation. I don't think this applies to the individual. Because the Prophet said, فَأَبْرِدُوا. Yeah. Right? And so when we look at salat, the foundation of salat is what? Congregation. And the Prophet is talking to a congregation of people. This is the event that it happened. The Prophet said, Abridu an salat. When we look at all the examples of the Prophet saying, Abridu an salat, and all the people wanting the delay on the salat, they were all in what? Congregation. I'm going to say this hadith applies to congregation, not to the individual. You see what I'm saying? Somebody says, no, the Prophet saying Abridu is applying to every individual, right?
So if you say it's only applying to congregation, that means you can make salah at home. The sunnah.
It's sunnah.
But if you're saying it's...
Yeah, some people might say it's sunnah to make salat at home. We haven't even gotten to that conversation yet.
You can't make the sunnah even.
What do you mean?
The sunnah prayers.
The sunnah prayer?
If this is talking about congregation, you can make your sunnahs at home, make salah at home.
Well, the sunnah should be at home.
Yeah, but if it's talking about any everybody, then you can't make even sunnahs in it, because it's everybody.
No. It's talking about Salat al-Dhuhr. This hadith is talking about Salat al-Dhuhr. I thought you were talking about, can I pray Dhuhr at home?
No.
You say, no, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Saying go to
You the mufti of St. Louis now?
I'm saying go
Just no?
That's not what I meant.
SubhanAllah. We haven't gotten that far yet. We don't know none of the disagreement about praying in the masjid, praying at home. Can you pray at the masjid or not? How many times did we see the Salaf was praying at home?
No, I'm making a recommendation.
I have no problem with the recommendation.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Salat al-Fard. I mean, inna Salat al-Jama'ah tafdul Salat al-Fard becomes 20 daraja. We got 5 minutes. You memorize, mashallah. So we got the, how long should we delay? Why are we delaying? Who can delay? Another question we have to ask ourselves is, if there's a clear hadith about delaying, why is there disagreement about delaying? How come the people of Iraq, except Abu Hanifa and a Shafi'i and Layth ibn Sa'd from the scholars of Egypt, how could they all say it's better to pray early and not delay in the heat? They all said, no, if it's hot, summertime, don't matter. Alone, congregation, pray early. That's the best time. How could they say that? Homework. Tell me why they said it. Find out. Tell me why they said it. We'll talk about it next time. Tell me why they said it. It should be easy. Tell me why they said it. Find what would make somebody think it's okay to pray dhuhr at the early time, even when it's hot in the summer. And do not use a hadith which is just a general hadith. There are specific hadith in this issue. How do you study homework? How do you go figure it out? What's the first places you look for something? Where? What's the first place you look for something in hadith? You go Muslim Imam Ahmed, right? No, the last place you go to Muslim Imam Ahmed. Where would you go to look for something in a hadith?
We're talking about Muwatta right now?
No, this is homework. This is just general. You want to know an answer to something. I want to be able to answer this question Abdul Hakim asked. Why would somebody say it's better to pray early in dhuhr when it's hot outside if we have this hadith right here that says delay the salah? Why would somebody say it's better? I need to find an answer. That answer is going to be where? It's going to, thank you. The first place I always look is Kutub al-Sitta. Why is the first place I always look Kutub al-Sitta? Because they have pretty much every hadith. لَمْ يَفُتِ الْخَمْسَةِ إِلَّا نَزْرُ. It's only a few hadith that escape Kutub al-Sitta. And Kutub al-Sitta are going to cover all of the major categories. So if I'm looking in Kutub al-Sitta, where am I going? What book am I going to go to? What book? What major section? Salah. Every kitab in Kutub al-Sitta has a kitab, and we talked about kitab, bab, false, right? It's going to have kitab, salah. So I go to Kutub al-Sitta, I go to Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Ibn Majah, Sunan al-Darimi, Muwatta Imam Malik. I go to, I don't go to the Musnad because the Musnad is hard. But I go to those 7-8 books and I go to Kitab al-Salah. I'm in Kitab al-Salah. What am I looking for? Waqt Salat. That's going to have Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Waqt Salat, Dhuhr. And then specifically, what am I looking for? Waqt Salat to Dhuhr when? When it's hot. And I'm going to find, there are going to be chapters exactly like that. Waqt Salat to Dhuhr in Dal-Haw. That's the hadith. Now I want to understand the hadith. Where do I look? Where do I look? I want to understand the hadith. No, before the shara. The shara is only doing this for me. Who understood the hadith? Sahaba. Where do I go to figure out what the Sahaba said? Musannaf. I start looking at the Musannaf. What did they say in the Musannaf? What Sahabi said what? How did he apply this hadith? How did Anas apply this hadith? How did Abu Hurairah, how did Abu Bakr, how did Umar apply this hadith? What did they do? And that's going to broaden my horizons about how could somebody say it's better to pray dhuhr when it's early and hot. When there's a clear hadith that says either kan al-har fa abridu. And so that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go hit a book. It takes an hour. I'm going to go look at Kutub al-Sitta, look at the index, find that chapter, see what they say. If I have access to the Musannif, if I have access to Sunan al-Kubra al-Bayhaqi, I'm going to look. What does he say in this chapter? What narrations do they bring? And I'm going to see the hadith of the people who said, pray early even when it's hot, and why they said it. And now I'm going to know, and then I'm going to see, well, how do I put it all together? And that's what we'll do next time, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.